What's up, all my true funk soldiers out there? Today, I got a special treat for you. We're going to get spiritual. We know the funk is a spiritual thing, y'all. I'm going to bring it to you today. Sit back, relax, get your vibe on, cuddle up to somebody you love, and know this is about peace, love, and harmony. Welcome to Funk Music with Zack. I got a special surprise for you. I have two of my most dearest, closest people in the world. We're going to bring them on in a minute. But first, I want to give them the proper introduction they deserve. Elder Bryant Bullock and Elder Nikel Bullock. And I'll tell you a little secret about my relationship with them at the end of the show. But I want everybody to kind of relax, bring down the heat, bring down the hate, bring down all the things that's making you tense inside. And today we're going to get spiritual. I want you to think that you're by the water. I want you to think you're walking hand in hand with the man himself, Jesus Christ. And today we're going to bring in some people that can help you get to hold his hand. We know the funk is a spiritual thing. It always has been. The title of this show, Funk Music with Zack, is not just about funk music. It's about healing the world, bringing us closer with a global connection and a consciousness within our heart, soul, spirit, and mind. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Maya. Hey, Jennifer. What's up? I know y'all are watching. And mad shouts and respect to everybody that tunes in to support this show on IBM.TV. Thank you, Lynn Shepard, for your sponsorship. IBMTV.TV. Dollar store, y'all. So check that out. Main shout out to my man, Mark Lee, behind the glass, keeping it funky, always making it real. My brother from another mothership. Yeah, we're going to make sure that we get Mark on a little bit later. Right now, y'all know how we do roll call. Philly, David Brooks, you in the house. Clap your hands. Let's go. Come on. Long Island, Strong Island, Bayshore, where y'all at? New York City, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, where you guys at? Are y'all in the house? Are y'all partying with us today? Are y'all going to get down and get some of this spiritual funk? Yes. Minneapolis, where you at? Where you guys at in California? Where you at in Canada? Australia, Germany, where you guys at? Where you guys at down under in Texas and overseas in Dubai and England? Where you guys at? We want everybody to tune in, beaming with us right now as I bring live Pastor Elder Bryant and Nikel Bullock. So y'all put your hands together for that, y'all.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Man.
How you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing great.
Good. Can you have Nikel slide? Yeah. Just that camera. I want to see her. You guys, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us on Funk Music with Zack on this beautiful spiritual Sunday morning. You guys are beautiful as always. And I wanted to just say before we get started, I appreciate you. I love you guys and all your hard work and all your spiritual teachings and everything you're doing to set such a great example for the world, and for everybody around you is a blessing. So, it's a beautiful thing. And today, we're going to dedicate this to Zack, Hetty, Geneva, and Eugene, and make sure that they know we down here trying to do something spiritual. You know what I'm saying? We're going to dedicate that to that. And everybody else out there that has a birthday today or an anniversary or it's a special day, or if you lost somebody due to COVID or some other affliction, know that we care about you, know that we love you, know that right here on Funk Music with Zack, this is what we do, right? So getting started, let's start at the top.
Let's go. Hold. Let me say, hey, Virginia in the house. Where you at, Virginia?
I was going to save that for my end, but it's okay. I was going to say, I always save the best for last. You know what I'm saying? And I was going to say Virginia, where you at in the house.
Yeah,
but,
Virginia, where you at?
And specifically Newport News, Virginia.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
You know something about Newport News.
I know a little bit about it. And Mount Gilead Baptist Church in Williamsburg, Virginia, special shout out to all the folks, from your parish and your church and everything that's hanging out. But I was going to say we have to start at the top and to tell you why I won't wear this hat. To tell you exactly
Oh, we
why
gotta pray for him.
I won't. I won't.
Y'all across the world, we gotta pray for him. We gotta pray
I
for him.
won't. I have it. I told you I had it, you know. But today brought to you by Long Island Gospel Sound Records. So
Hey
I'm
man, there you go.
you know, Jeff Roberson and my label and everything. So, Nikel, Brian, let's start at the top. Tell us a little bit about how you guys met. When did you guys first meet? And tell the audience how you first met.
Oh man.
Let's go back.
You want to go first?
We met.
Let me tell you what happened.
What happened?
No, don't listen to
She
this
came all the way
No.
from New York.
I already know.
Because she knew that I was in Virginia. And she said, my main is in Virginia.
Gosh.
And she said, I gotta go and find my man.
Actually had to find. Well, I understand because women are the smartest species. So you know, so I understand. You didn't have the wherewithal to make it to New York. She had to get down to find you. So kudos, Nikel. God bless you. You are truly an angel because how you put up with this man all this time with your family. God bless you with the wings of love, sweetheart.
Amen. Amen. Hey, well, we met at Hampton University.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, Hampton University been married for 26 years, going on 27 in July.
Okay.
And it has been, oh man, it has been a blessing. It has been a blessing with all the things that we've done. Give a shout out to Hampton U, HU, HBC,
yes.
HBCU, yeah.
That's right.
Amen. So, but yeah, we met at Hampton University, and God brought us together. And it has been a blessing.
Right.
It has been a blessing. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our relationship started out, as friends, and evolved. By the time I was leaving Hampton, that's really when that's when we had gotten together. But it has been a blessing all the way around. So
yeah, obviously, and to be part of your thing and watch you guys grow and all this good stuff, And again, I'm not going to tell the audience till the end how we know each other, so I'll save that little tidbit. But to watch you guys grow and share and spread all that love and peace, man. It's been nothing but a wonderful thing to see. So tell me, how many kids you guys got?
Hey, we got 3.
3 kids.
We got 3 kids.
Yes, we have awesome. We got a 23-year-old, a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old. So.
Okay. Yes, we celebrated their birthday. Didn't somebody just have a birthday?
Yeah, Joshua, our oldest Joshua, had a birthday on the 21st. Amen. And it's crazy having 2 in college and 1 as senior in high school.
Wow.
Running track. Amen. Running track and doing good. So we're waiting for the scholarships. The full scholarships to come in. They've offered him some scholarships. We're waiting for the full scholarships to come in.
He has gotten academic scholarships.
Yeah, academic scholarships.
Yeah.
And he gets that,
I'm sure he gets it from his mother because she ran track. All right. I know the history. You ain't talking to Larry King over here. You know what I'm saying? I know
from his mom.
His mother ran track, the 440. Yeah. I know in Brentwood.
He and I run the same events. He does 200 and 400. That's what I used to run.
But I taught him everything. Not everything, but everything.
I'm sure you taught him everything he needs to know. I'm sure of that. You guys are very proud of them and watching them do all their things and, following your footsteps, man. And that just goes to show, parents are very, very important. For all you parents out there watching, what you put into your children is what you get out. If you can, do the best you can. A lot of single parents out there don't have that. But, just keep the faith and know that, there are people out there that are willing to help you. And, if you're going through hard times, that's why this show today is so important, because we're bringing, Elder Brian and Elder Nikel on to talk about some of these things, Real quick, before we jump into it, we lost a giant, Cicely Tyson. Your reflections and thoughts on her real fast.
Man. Cicely Tyson, just seeing her in the movies that she played, man, she touched so many lives. Yeah. She touched so many lives, and she gave so many hope in a time that was filled with, depression and, opposition,
Yeah,
the things that she did and the things that she accomplished gave people hope.
yeah,
And as they look and as I think about her and her life, I'm like, wow, she'll never know all the lives that she's touched,
yeah,
that she's had an impact on. So
yeah,
no, you're right, a giant,
yeah.
a
Nikel?
giant amongst us today. And I just like, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Nikel?
I mean, she definitely is a giant. And, one thing about her for me, she's so humble, to be this gigantic woman, who has such an impact. She was so humble,
Yeah,
she wasn't, a puffed up, woman or anything like that.
yeah,
Just really humble. And, to hear just a little bit about the background that she had and just starting her career at the age of 30, and just the miraculous things that God did in her life, in
yeah,
positioning her
yes.
to
yeah,
be able to do the things that she did. And to be able to do these things at an age when people were not starting their careers in modeling and acting. And she went on to just have this career that expanded until she
yeah,
passed,
yeah, 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 yeah.
um, just awesome.
Yeah, yeah. She broke down a lot of barriers. And
Yes.
kind of you remind me a little bit of her, as well as
Wow.
Nana, because you got you like you said the key word, very humble, did her thing with humility and
Yes.
still had the loudest voice in the room.
Yes.
Yes.
Whoa. Yes.
Sometimes you could have the loudest voice in the room and not be doing diddly. But
Yeah.
she had the loudest voice in the room and made it known, her, Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, Sarah Vaughan, and all the early Black and Latino actresses and actors, pushing that door through, Sammy Davis Jr. The first time, it's funny because the first time I saw Porgy and Bess, right? My mother took me to the movies. I didn't know that many Black people could be on the same stage at one time.
Wow.
I never saw that before. And it was such a profound thing. I forgot what year it came out, but it was such a profound thing to see as a little Black kid in Bayshore. Like, wow, this is a Black cast. This is a Black show. This is a
Yeah.
whole Black thing. And I was like, I thought to myself, is that allowed? And that
Right.
just show
Right.
the mindset, the systemic
Right.
stuff that's been driven into us,
Yes.
And then I saw Raisin in the Sun, and then I saw a lot of Cicely's early work, and it started to really change my opinion about what I could be for myself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? It gave me hope, and I was like, "Whoa, I can actually do this if I wanted to, because there are other Black people doing it."
Right.
So tell me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, and just to expound upon that point as well, in the industry, in the theater industry, in the movie industry, she broke through some barriers,
Yes, she
just
did.
like Hank Aaron did,
Yeah.
in the sports industry and in baseball.
Yeah.
So she is a giant. He's a giant on the
Oh, yeah,
sports
yeah.
side.
We
She's
lost
a
him.
giant,
Yeah.
in the theater side. So I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. And we lost him recently too. And
Yes.
I'd be remiss if we didn't mention, Don Chaney from Temple. He
Oh,
just
yes.
passed.
Yes.
And also, the pioneer is why some of us do this now. Larry King, and also one of my favorite comedians, Cloris Leachman, So, we're losing people left and right. But I think now we're the elders. I was saying this on my other show. Now they look down and give their grace on us, and we are the elders now to teach,
Exactly.
And speaking of that, how long have you guys been in the ministry? I know you've been in church all your life, but when did you actually get into the ministry?
I actually got into the ministry in 2010.
Okay. Awesome.
So yes, so accepted the call to ministry in 2010. Kind of been running for a minute before then.
This is as close as I'm gonna get. All right, don't be pulling me. This is as close as I can get.
But
you guys will understand in the audience why we're laughing. I'll tell it all later at the end of the show. I'll tell you.
Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in 2010, and we've been running ever since. So it's been excellent. It's been excellent to be to be an instrument that God can use.
Totally.
Yeah, so and to be to keep yourself in a place where God can use you.
Yes, yes, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so to make yourself pliable that he can, hey, I can use you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Nikel?
Yeah, I work in youth ministry. That's a lot of what I do as far as ministry, is youth ministry. And so just trying to keep our kids connected, trying to keep our kids, just with that positivity and giving them just hearts of love. Just like you talked about, now we are the elders. Now we are, the ones that are teaching and instructing and being the example. And so just trying to walk that example of love and, giving them that. And how do you go out into this world that sometimes will show you lots of different, just the opposite of love, but how do you keep on walking in it, despite
Yeah.
the fact that it looks so different?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah, cool, cool. And I know you both talk the talk and you walk the walk for sure. I know that firsthand. And it's funny you say that because Nikel, when you say the elders and we are that, in the funk world, those of us that are spiritual, and funk has always been a spiritual thing. You never seen one fight or argument at any funk concert over 50 years. Never happens. We're peace-loving people. And we always say we're the keepers of the funk. The power of the one, Boosie Collins, simply means the power of God. So if people are listening to that spiritual funk and understanding what those cats are saying and what people like myself are saying in our music and Prince and people like that, yes, it may go to this side sometimes, but basically we're all singing about the same thing: spiritual, powerful, positive love and peace and harmony. How can we help the world in different ways, because we all vibrate in different ways, so you guys got into the clergy and you're into the ministry, and you both do a fantastic job at your church. Again, for those of you that don't know, I'm hanging out with Elder Pastor Bryant and Elder Pastor Nikel Bullock from Mount Gilead Baptist Church in Williamsburg, Virginia. Thank you all for tuning in. Please join the chat, and chat it up with some questions if you have any for us. And we can definitely throw that in. If everybody watching in Virginia, I didn't roll call you because I was saving it at the end. Virginia's in the house today, y'all. I'm your host, number 9 right here. So how can people, and let me put it to you this way, there's a biblical perspective that we need to look to for guidance. And you guys are very adept in that subject. So from a biblical perspective, and I'm going to let Nikel take this one first, right? How can we go forth and try to kind of get this world to focus on the main goal and the main vision, which is spiritual love? How can we do that?
How do we get the world to focus in on that? I think one thing is, when you know that, and you know that that's the key, is, as the word says, let your light so shine. So being that example and, just letting other people see the goodness, the kindness, the love, the patience, that you have, is letting that be shown. Because sometimes the world is dark, and when we say positive things, somebody will say, forget that, you're just being kind, or, oh, you're just being. But in reality, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to be.
Yeah. Brian?
I think, when you asked that question, what came back to my mind, and I've used this in church as well, when this cute wife of mine, we were pregnant with our first. Somebody gave her a book, but first you're going through pregnancy, your body is changing, you don't know what's going on. So you're always, hey, this is happening, doc, is something wrong? Until somebody gave her a book, that says what to expect when you are expecting.
Yes, I remember that book.
Yes. And that alleviated a lot of concern, because now you see, wait a minute, these things, it's normal. This is part of what's going to happen. And the scripture tells us, I think, that the first thing to heal a nation, first you have to recognize where you are. When you go to the doctor and you have an issue, the first thing the doctor has to do before he can begin to treat you is he has to figure out exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the scripture tells us that in the last days, in Matthew, the 24th chapter, it says in the last days, and it goes on through, there will be earthquakes in diverse places. And it was like, wow, man, not too many years ago, we had an earthquake here in Virginia.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and it's like earthquake here. We never have an earthquake here.
And it shook New York too for like a couple of. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And even in last year they had an earthquake in New England.
Yeah.
And they said that they'd never had an earthquake since the 1700s like that. But the Bible says in the last days there will be earthquakes in diverse places. There'll be wars and rumors of wars.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, because you know all the stuff that's been going. We got the war on terrorism. Even when President Trump came into office, the first thing that he had to deal with was the possibility of going to war against North Korea. Because of the things that were going on there. So when I say to know what is coming about, you can handle it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the scripture tells us, even it says that there will be pestilence, famine and pestilence. Yes. And watch this. I found so interesting, because that word pestilence, and I'm taking it from the King James or New King James version. I found it interesting that word pestilence is not included in the other translations. Mm-hmm. But when you look at that word and the definition of it, that word means plagues.
Yes.
It means disease. Yep. And I look at COVID-19 and they say it's a disease. And I'm like, wow. The Bible tells us that these things are coming to pass. Yeah. It comes. So that's what I think. That's where we have to start before the healing. We have to recognize where we are today, and then how do we operate in an environment like this? Yeah. So that's where we begin. Yeah. That's where we begin, and then it transitions over to love.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people, whether they believe or not, this show and other shows like this, we just bring the facts to people, and then it's up to people to make up their own mind.
Yes.
My brother Kevin Harrington, and Mark, my producer, and all my spiritual people around me, and y'all know I got a lot. We always talk about that. We say, listen, well, these are the facts. Everybody's flawed, nobody's perfect, but some things you can't deny. Like I know for a fact, God exists. I know for a fact there was a man called Jesus. I know those are facts, and that's because I just know. Certain times when you get visions and you get inspiration and you get things that come to you, no matter where they come from, be it music, be it in the pulpit, be it poetry, and Jemiah Lou, you can't tell me that woman wasn't touched by the hands of God. Mm-hmm. So he touches people in different ways, like you said, Brian, at the top, to use them for different things, Mm-hmm. And when I look back and I was thinking about all the stuff that I was ever taught by my father, and those of you that know, he was a minister, Reverend Robertson. And again, we're hanging out with Brian and Nikel, hanging out, elder pastors and all that good stuff, right here on Funk Music with Zack. Welcome to IBM TV audience. This is a great conversation. Y'all need to tune in, because we're going to chop it up. But when I think back to stuff that my dad was saying about, Satan's biggest trick, or his greatest trick, and I'm quoting, is convincing people that he don't exist. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest one right there. When you can convince somebody everything you're doing, you ain't really doing it, but you actually doing it. That's like Siegfried and Roy type thing. But I say that to segue into this. When we had our last administration in, And, we're not going to talk about the negative because I don't really do that, but I
Yeah.
want to bring up the facts. Negative, feeding information into that is useless. And I wish CNN and all the stations would stop doing that. So if you listen to CNN, we don't need to see you looping the riot over and over and over and over. We get it. We had it. All right. So stop doing that. And people out there watching it, stop watching it because it's feeding you negative energy and you don't need it. You don't need it. But when we look back at that, I think, and you guys can answer this, that was a serious turning point. When I first started doing this show, God gave me this platform last May, right? And, Mark brought me in and I met all the people at IBM TV. My first show was titled The Veil Has Been Lifted, and I truly believe that because 2020, the word hindsight, foresight, taught us one thing. You're going to have to pick a side.
Yes.
You either going to be in the light or you're not,
Exactly.
So tell me your thoughts on how we kind of brought all of this negative energy and just pushed it out there for the world to see. My question is, do you think that's by design plan so the creator can get us to understand what we're supposed to do?
Well, I think that, God he's going to allow us to make our choices.
Right.
He's not going to force us. He's not going to force anything on us. He allows us to make our choices. I think that what happens is that from a moral perspective, we've fallen so far.
Yeah.
And I give you a quick example, back in the 70s, the things that we put on television today, whoa, that would not have been allowed on the 70s, back in the 70s. And what from an ethical or moral perspective, I think that we have fallen. Now watch this. If you fall, I heard Bishop T.D. Jakes say this, and I was like, wow, you're right. If you fall off of a house and you will never forget that the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
But he said, but if you fall gradually, one little step at a time, and next thing you know, your feet is on the ground. And you're like, whoa, how did I get here? And what it is from an ethical or moral perspective, we've fallen gradually.
Yeah.
Each year we've gone lower, and we allow different things gradually, and it has eroded us.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we've gotten here.
Yeah.
And we have to open our eyes to these things to resist, to recognize, what's happening, that we can defend ourselves against it. What are your thoughts, sweetie?
Well, I think, one of the things is that over time we've accepted wrong as right.
Yes.
And it almost becomes acceptable. Just like you said, we can see things on television that we've not seen before. I remember being, a little girl, and Dallas was the most risque show on television. And it didn't come on until what was it, 10 o'clock at night, something like that. And like you wanted to stay up. Oh, let me just try to stay up to watch Dallas, and all they were doing was like kissing on television or something,
Yeah.
And now even the commercials in the daytime are, oh my gosh, over time, when my kids got a little bit older, that's really when things started getting really crazy. And I would be like, can you go in the kitchen now and go get me some water, please? So they wouldn't have to see it. But, I think that we accept wrong as right. And, anything, it's almost anything goes. Yeah. If it makes you feel good, it's all right, and that's not necessarily the case.
And that's a good point because, having watched this whole thing and being involved on the other side of it a lot of times with this whole music thing, even there, we push the limit to a point to where it has become a kind of, for some of us, it has actually become disgusting. And I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah. And that's why those of us that don't do that are not knocking their entertainment. But what we do not really want to get involved in is the direction that it takes young minds. If you're not feeding the spirit, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or, Chaka Khan, or, people like that, or even in the gospel field, if you're not feeding the spirit, even P-Funk, if you're not feeding the spirit something that they can take home and grab home to, then why are you watching it? And why are you serving it? And my answer is, they're serving all of this up to us, right? To keep our minds in the dark, and it's not really a conspiracy or a plot. It's like you said, Pastor Brian, it's like we have a choice, we have a choice. Now, I've seen pretty much everything, and there's things that I won't even watch. You know what I mean? That I would never. I'm like, God, you showing that, like, and it's not because of the entertainment value, and I know the dollar value. I know the corporations run everything.
That's where it is.
That's where it is. It's that money. So I get that, but at some point, somebody has to have a moral conscience and fiber.
Yes.
And I think our last administration had none. So y'all give me your thoughts on that moral fiber the last 4 years. Nikel?
Wow. That is, when you talk about anything goes, I really felt like it let loose the idea that anything goes. And then, if anybody could open up their mouth and say anything that they wanted to say, to whomever they wanted to say it to, even to little children, even, say hurtful things to children or directed toward them. And they are the most innocent. And, to be able to even, mock them and make fun of them, that was really hurtful. And when you can go so low as to mock and hurt a child, I think that, you've gone pretty low, and there's nothing that's off limits when you can do that, there's nothing that's off limits.
Yeah.
And so that for me was pretty hurtful, when we hurt each other intentionally, and especially the least of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty low.
I think as well, when you promote separatism, when you try to divide out and separate, you go against the word of God. The word of God said in Psalms, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Yeah.
And when you are not promoting that, when you are promoting, definitely not working together, and promoting a belief that you can do anything to go, to go forward, to get your agenda across, even if it hurts, the people that you're supposed to be representing. That's, but that's scriptural. That's scriptural. The Bible says that in the last days, men will become lovers of themselves. And what it means is they'll become selfish. Mm-hmm. When you look up that word, lovers of themselves, and do a word study on that, it said they'll become selfish, and they said lovers of money after that. And they'll become selfish, and they will want their agenda.
Yeah.
And, forget about the gender of, everybody else or anybody else. Mm-hmm. That goes against the word of God, where the word of God says to esteem the cares of others above yourself.
Lift up. That's right. Lift it up.
Yeah. So when you have that, and when you have an administration that promotes selfishness, that promotes everything is legal to go forward. Anything, it's all right. You can do anything to push your way ahead. Then I think that it has a consequence that's the result of what we've seen here lately.
Yeah, I have a good question, and we're going to pivot a little bit. Why do you think, in your opinion, again, we're hanging out with Elder Brian and Elder Kel Bullock on my show, Funk Music with Zack. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. I know you guys are watching out there. Please get active on the chat line if you're out there and you're checking it out. I'm right here every Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check this out. And here's something that I don't really know the answer to, but I'm not really seeking the answer to it. I just want to pose the question. Why do you think so many people that are so filled with hate bitterness. I mean, I've known people for 30 years. I had to stop being Facebook friends with them. Why do you think they continue to hold the cross, a burning cross, and the Bible in one hand? And how can they do that? And why do you think they're so bitter inside and still hide or still say, well, I'm Christian, I'm not going to do anything against the Bible and against God, but here I am beating somebody over the head with a fire thing, extinguisher, and I killed them, but yet I'm hiding behind the cross of the Bible. Why do you think their mindset, and I know you can't get into their mindset, but why do you think that is?
I think that it's just the enemy to distract and deceive. And what you said, what you said there earlier about, it's a distraction. So I can work over here. If I can distract you over here, I can work over here. And then once we bring our attention back to what's being worked on the right side, after we've been distracted on the left, then we find ourselves morally lower than where we were before.
Yeah.
And so that the hate, but again, the Bible says these things must come to pass.
Yeah.
So, and even where we are today and the things that we've seen today, I think I find it interesting. I said, the Bible says that this is the beginning of sorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, I
so
know,
it's
right?
more to come.
Yeah.
It's more to come.
Yeah, it's some things going on. Nikel, real quick, because a good friend of mine, Chrissy Key Rollins, that I have a regular, she's on this show a lot. And she always says, trust the process, right?
Yes.
Trust the process. And we're very spiritual, Chrissy and I, and she hooks me up with my crystals and things. And I always trust the process. Lately, a lot more so. I think a lot of us, Nikel, the past year and a half, had to look within again because we were forced to, locked in the house. We were forced to live without all the fancy things that we thought we needed, but found out we didn't need. Right. You know what I mean? and I just want you to elaborate on that for a minute and your thoughts on that.
Wow. Well, I actually have found it to be a blessing to be on this quarantine, lockdown, shut in, for those reasons that you said, that we're able to be quiet, I think, with God, and we're able to, hear from him. We're able to see what really is important in life. And I think very early on in this whole pandemic, that's one thing that I saw, what really are the most important things, being here with my family has been a super, blessing to just be, even though, it's the five of us and every day we're seeing each other, you get up for a break and you see each other, before you go to bed, you see each other. This is who you have to talk to is each other, outside of, being on the phone. But it's just been a blessing, to have this quarantine time. And I think for people to be able to see really what are the valuable things in life. If we strip away, the fancy car that you can't drive because you can't go anywhere, you strip away all the super cool restaurants that you'd really like to go to and all the super fun things to do, what are really the most important things, so.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot. I got back into books, been writing music, obviously, and doing this show, but I really started reading again. I had this thing where I used to read a book a month, off and on. What's up, Dr. Brookenstein, tuning in? He told me to tell you guys hi. I started and I was never one to read and finish a book from start to finish. I always just read segments of what I want to get out of it, and then I'll put that down and read another one. And I'm most of the time looking for lyrics, stuff that I can write about and stuff like that. So as ministers and pastors and, healers and, doers of the good, what are some things that you've been telling, and I don't know if you've been teaching online, church online, but what are some things that you've been telling your congregation as far as keeping their head up, keeping their spirits up? I know you've been dealing with death, obviously. What are some things you're telling people? And my prayers go out to those people. What are some things you've been telling people? Little tidbits here and there, just to keep them uplifted.
Well, definitely. One of the things is the process. God says in the Bible, Romans 8:28, and we know all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So, and what he's saying when he says all things, it's not just, those things that you consider that are good, but all things. And we recognize that God he's working it, and it will work. Not only it might, it will work for our good.
Even
Yeah.
when we can't see it, it's still
Yes,
working for
for
our
our
good.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
Nikhil,
so
oh, no, go ahead,
go
Brian.
for it, go for it.
No, go.
You're
I
gonna
want
stop me
to.
preaching.
No, go preach. Hey, this is my
Ah,
show. I do what I want, so you do you.
you're gonna start me preaching.
That's
But
okay.
you
You
but
do
you
what you want.
but it is, and you're right, but we have to see it differently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I tell my congregation. It's so important to see it differently. And I'll give you a quick example, biblical example. David, when everybody knows the story of David and Goliath being a giant, and the children of Israel looking at Goliath, and they're looking at how big Goliath is. And their focus, and the Bible talks about his statue, it talks about his weapons and how big they were. And David shows up, and David says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? And what that David never mentioned his size. David was talking about the fact that this guy was not in covenant with God. And it has, and so, and what I'm saying there is we have to see it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to see, instead of looking out and seeing the mountains that are before us, we have to look inside and see the God that's with us.
Yes, that's right. That lives within. That's right.
Exactly. And know that because of the God that's within, I can do all things. And greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world.
That's right. That's right.
So I share that with the congregation to let them know, wait a minute, you're already victorious. You got this. I just need you to see it differently.
Yes, yes, yes. Look through different eyes. You know what?
Yes,
And that's a
exactly.
beautiful thing. And Kel, I was going to ask you kind of the same thing. From a because I know you're one of the lead psychologists in the school district, right? And I was going to ask you, how are young people dealing with the psychology
Mhm.
of this lockdown and not being able to go to church or not being able to go to school or not being able to see their friends? Tell us from that point of view, and how you approach that mindset.
Right, right. Well, I'm not one of the lead psychologists, but I am a school psychologist in Hampton.
You
But
lead to
um,
me.
but it can be tough, the whole pandemic and just the lockdown on the kids. It can be tough. I'm seeing some anxiety. That's some of the things that we're having to deal with is the anxiety in the little bit older kids. So the elementary school kids, you're not seeing the anxiety as much. You see a little bit of it, but I'm seeing it a little bit more like in my middle school students and in the high school students. So they're doing things, for example, like they're on Zoom for school right now, at least here where we are. And they're not engaging, so they're not turning on their cameras all the time, they're not chatting in the chat box, they're just not responding, so they're not always engaging in that way.
Yeah.
So as far as like school, we see some of that, so just trying to deal with the anxiety part of it. It took me a minute to figure out these kids so anxious about being on Zoom when they're constantly on these electronic devices, constantly. But the thing is, when you platform itself, you know, it's me looking at a sea of faces because the whole screen has the potential to be full of everybody else's faces. And I think that really causes some anxieties for them. And just being constantly at home inside with their family, whatever, and the stressors are real across the family dynamics. So when the parents are stressed out, and they may not be verbalizing what is causing them stress, but the kids pick up on it. Kids see it, they identify it, and then they respond in like, in like manner. And
Yeah.
so we see the whole family. If the family is stressed, if the parents are stressed about that, kids are showing more stress about it.
That's right. And this is something I had to learn as a parent. It took me a while, but even for my daughters, I had to understand that their stress is real. So if you're a parent
Yes.
out there, you're an aunt or uncle, know that your kids' stress is very real.
Yes,
Do
yes.
the best you can. And also, what would you tell parents, Nikel, or what is something that you could tell a parent on a way to try to work with that within that stressful environment?
Right.
What would you tell a parent?
Well, one of the things is just helping families to be, if we can be like as organized as we can be, if we can be as consistent as we can be, because one of the things with being in school, in the school buildings, is structure. You come in at the same time every day. You do the same thing. You go to your seat. You do all these different things, and you follow a routine. You follow a structure. And at home, parents are not used to being teachers. They're not used to
That's right.
having to provide all of this, instruction, education, monitoring, making sure you're on task, getting your assignments in. They're not used to having to do all of that. And so it's, trying to, if they can get some structure, if they can, just make sure to have some consistency. And I think even above all else, one of the things we as school psychologists have been really pushing this year is self-care. And I've been in so many meetings where kids will be behind in their assignments. For example, a child may have an F in a class, and the teacher says, "Oh, well, he's missing all these assignments, but the ones he's done have been great. I'll let him turn them all in as long as he has them by the end of the semester." You've taken the pressure off of that child to have to get it all done immediately, or the fact that you failed this class because you didn't do this. So we have to have some self-care. And I think that even in families, we've got to give ourselves some breaks. We have to take some breaks. Parents have to be able to step away for a minute, whether it's that you do some self-care. Mom, give yourself a facial at home. Soak your feet for a minute. Dad, go outside and shoot some hoops, or whatever it is that makes you feel, less stressed, but do some of those things. And we have to teach our kids by example to do those things, and even by encouragement, lead them into those things. So engage the kids in games, engage the kids when it comes to doing schoolwork during the day. I get it. We have to be on Zoom, do your Zoom thing. But once you're finished, we're going to have snack. We are going to play a game. We're going to go outside. We're going to run around the yard for a few minutes. And then we'll come back in. We're going to work for 10 minutes. We're going to take a break again. Show them how to have self-care. But I think that those are things that are so important to bringing down the stress levels all across the board. I think as a family, we've got to really embrace no stress, low stress, and helping each other with it.
Yeah, and I want to tell my kids that are on right now that I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. See, Zach, they beat me in Monopoly.
Well, you ain't
and they bankrupt me. They bankrupt me in Monopoly.
I'm the Monopoly
king.
King. You ask my daughters who the Monopoly King is. All right, it's right here. All right, King. See the crown, King. King.
But they beat me, so I have to let them win sometime.
I understand.
Because they wouldn't want to play with me if I did, so I got to let them win sometime. So
you ask Dot who the Monopoly King is. Yours true.
But some things. One of the things your pastor says, and I'll give him a shout out, Apostle William Dawson. He said some things are caught and not taught.
Yes.
And we have to recognize that when we have that stress in our house, that our kids are catching that.
Yes.
You may not teach them, they can feel that stress and they can feel that tension, and it has an impact on them.
And your response to it.
Yes.
They see your response and they begin to learn, well, this is how I deal with stress. Well,
Right.
this is how I'm supposed to respond to difficulties.
Yes,
And
yes.
we have to be so careful of that.
She's
Yeah.
a cutie. She's a cutie. You see how I'm black? I'm good. She good. She good. She good. She good. Okay.
She's real good. So that is some information that I definitely wanted to get to people out there today. And we're hanging out with the lovely Nikel Bullock and her beautiful husband Brian Bullock, and they are both elders at the church Mount Gilead Baptist Church in Williamsburg, Virginia. Today's a
Yes.
spiritual healing show on Funk Music with Zack, so we're going to do it across the board. Tell me, what role does the church play, or will play, in the hurting people around the world, and the people that are so mentally exhausted, and the people that are so on the fence, don't know which way to go, people on the bread lines, people on the fighting battle lines, people in Washington? What role, major role, will the church play?
You want to go? Okay. I think that it's so important, our voice. The church has to speak up. The church cannot be quiet
Right.
in these times, and we have to lead the fight to produce a authentic love, to show to show an authentic love. So I think that it's so important right now that the church speak up, and not only speak up, but again also demonstrate from a biblical perspective what real love is. Because with real love, it's the Bible says love covers a multitude of sin.
Yep.
So we recognize that none of us are perfect, and we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, the Bible says. And so to show that authentic love is, wait a minute, I don't have to beat you up because you've made a mistake. I don't have to put you down because you've made a mistake.
Amen. Thank you for saying that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think love is definitely, the key. That's one of the parts that the church has to play. The Bible talks about, Jesus said, whatsoever you've done unto the least of these, you've done unto me. And so every single time we help somebody who is homeless, whether we have given them $5, $10, whatever, whether we have given them food, whether we have helped to provide shelter for them, whatever it is that we have done, as the church, as the people of God. And when I'm talking about the church, I'm not talking about, like an organized structure as in Mount Gilead Baptist Church, but the people who believe God and believe in God. When we do these things for people, that's the responsibility that we have to see our brother and our sister that's hurting and to be able to help them.
Yes.
Even those that are mourning and crying, because even in this hour, there's a local psychologist here in the area, Newport News, Virginia, who is doing some research and talked about there's a tsunami of grief across the world. And even when we see people hurting, sometimes, somebody may be sharp with the tongue because they are hurting. And so to understand that sometimes people might lash out, give a hand, say a nice word, give a kind word in response, because we don't know what each other are going through.
That's right. Yeah. And that's very well said and so eloquently put, because as we learn, and we are spiritual beings having a physical experience in this body. So as we learn to try to get to the next level and raise our level of consciousness to get closer to the creator, to the light, we have to cross paths sometimes with people, and I'm guilty of this myself so much. I understand what it's like to be on that other side, and thank God I'm not there anymore. I am no saint, but I do understand that my mission going forward has been for quite some time to try to help as many people as I can. As people came to my rescue to help me, a lot of people, man, I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it weren't for the multitude of people that came to help me and get me through some things. So, things that are happening to you guys out there, are real. We're hanging out with Elder Brian and Elder Nikel Bullock of Mount Gilead Baptist Church right here on Funk Music with Zack. And I want everybody to know, these two beautiful people out here, they're my great niece and nephew. They're like my niece and nephew. So, and they're from Newport News, Virginia, where I used to live at. Okay? So, Nikel obviously is the beautiful one in the family. Yeah. Besides my daughters. But the next handsome person is me, and that's it. Don't count Brian.
He has issues. No,
it would be me. So if you're watching out there, you know who the handsome person is. But on the real, go ahead.
Zack, one of the things as well that you just mentioned and you talked about, just alluded to some of the things that you've gone through. One of the things that I share with some of our parishioners, I tell them, don't be ashamed of your resume.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, and when I say that from this perspective, that your resume doesn't define who you are. Your resume just tells of the experience that you have.
That's right.
And the fact that you need to show your resume is a blessing.
Yes.
Because what it's saying is you don't look like what you've been through.
Yeah.
So a person needs to see your resume for you to tell them, hey, I've been there, done that. Yeah. I got that T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, I made it out. You can make it out too.
Yeah. Words of positive affirmation is what I've been really trying to push.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get people to understand as much as I can through whatever way I can, whatever platform I get. You guys most definitely have to come back for part 2 and 3 because we got so much to chop it up on, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. We got a few minutes left, and then we're going to do our ending wrap up. And like I said, you're welcome to stay for this round table because we chat up a lot of stuff. But I'd love to have you both back. You're amazing guests, and obviously my beautiful family. So, I won't really go into like how, I just crushed Brian in football and all that. I won't really say all of that, but he's an undercover Dallas fan. I want y'all to know, Zack from New Jersey, undercover Dallas fan, that New York, New Jersey area. He's a New York Jets fan, but I'm gonna tell you, he's an undercover Dallas fan. It's a possibility. I ain't gonna lie. I like the back in the day. There you go. Tanisha Coles. Hi, Tanisha Coles. How you doing?
Hey, T.
Hey.
Yeah, I told you Newport News is in the house.
Yeah, y'all in the house. I know. See, what happens, a lot of people watch. They don't necessarily chat, but a lot of people will watch. And this show is around the world. It's in Dubai right now, in India. It's at night over there. It's in England. It goes like all around the world. So for everybody watching around the world, this is us here in America doing what we do to try to spread peace and love worldwide. It's a global thing because not just here in the United States do we focus on. That's why I wanted to have you guys on today because you are well-rounded. Tell us a little bit about your educational background because I want people to really, really know who you are and what you do.
Amen. Well, I'll go first. I guess I go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm an electrical engineer. For the Department of Defense. I've been with them for 32 years.
And won't show me where the UFOs are.
Top secret.
Yeah, I told you I had the key. But I'm an electrical engineer. But then, but most importantly, I'm a pastor, assistant pastor at Mount Gilead Baptist Church. I attended school at Regent University as well, getting my master's of divinity there. And my goal here as I finish with my job with the Department of Defense, as I finish there to go in ministry, now I can do it full time.
Yes.
Now I can do it full time. So I'll finish up in 2 years with the Department of Defense and check all those boxes, and then just to really go and do where my heart is.
I know.
Amen. So
That's always been you. That's why I gave you the book of my father's sermons.
yes,
That's why I
yes,
gave that to
yes,
you. That's why I passed
yes,
it
and
on.
I've used them too.
I know you have. I know
Hey,
you. I
yes,
can feel it.
amen.
So,
They've
Nikel, how
used
about
them.
you, sweetie?
I have a degree in psychology from Hampton University, and then I went on to the University of Georgia and got a master's degree and an educational specialist degree in educational psychology. And so I'm a school psychologist. Like I said, here local in the area. Love kids, have always worked with kids. My very first job was working with kids as a day camp counselor, and I've been working with kids ever since, my entire life. When I retire, I'm going to be the classroom grandma. I'm going to read stories to the kids. I'm going to help them with their little math problems,
There you go.
take
There
them,
you
go
go.
get a drink of water. We're going to be good. We're going to be doing all kinds of self-care and all of that good stuff. So,
You know what? It's like this is a blessing for me, and I'll tell you why. I was tearing up when I knew you guys were coming on the show because I want people to understand there's always layers to things. People, they see one thing, but they don't really know. That's why I asked you your background, because people might not understand that you've done other things besides being called on to teach people about the spirit and walk people to that light. And I want people to get a well-rounded view of you guys because you mean the world to me, and I love you dearly. And that's why I said that. And again, we're gonna have you on. Again, I beg you, please come back
Oh
because
yeah,
there's so
definitely.
much stuff. So we'll set a rotation up, and you guys can pop in every 6 or 7 weeks or so and give us some of this beautiful inspiration. Before I
Amen.
bring my producer Mark on, he always has one question. I'm going to ask you for your last thought and your last word, Nikel. You can go first that you want to say to our audience today that's been watching.
just be encouraged. Just be encouraged. One of the things that I did not say before is we have to extend other people grace and love, and we have to extend ourselves grace and love as well. I think that sometimes we just get too hard, even on ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
And, we just have to extend ourselves even grace and be loving to ourselves. And, we can be loving to ourselves, extend love to other people. So that love that's in there, extend it to others. So, I mean, that's my final word. Just love yourself, love others.
Bri?
Amen. Okay, and I'll make it quick. But I think that one of the things that one of the benefits that we have as Christians is God says, "My peace I leave with you," and I say that from this perspective. The presence of peace does not mean the absence of trouble, but God will give you a peace in the midst of your trouble.
Yeah, that's
Amen.
deep.
So he'll give you a joy in the midst of it. So we'll walk together. So I want to encourage people, look for your peace because it's there.
I like that. The presence of peace in the midst of trouble.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Look for
That's
your
the
peace
deep
because
stuff.
it's there.
That's deep, man.
Mm.
That's deep. Right now, my producer Mark Lee's been itching. He's chomping at the bit. I can hear him. Bang, bang, bang. Let me in, let me in, let me in. Mark, pop in because I know you got one question and we up at the top of the hour. So we got to roll out. But I know Mark, look at him. He can't wait to chomp. Go, Mark. Go for it, bro.
Like I said, I was just amazed with y'all's conversation. It was a very deep and motivational conversation. So I definitely appreciate meeting Pastor Brian and Nikel Bullock. They are some very powerful folks, and I'm glad to now call them among my friends as well because I know that any friend
Hey.
of
Part of the
is
IBM
usually
family now.
a friend
Part
of
of the
mine. So
family.
definitely glad to talk to them and get to know them. One of the things that I've always been really proud of, and I'd love to hear what they've got to say about this, is that to me, the church in general has been very much at the forefront of the civil rights struggle. And of course, we
Yes. Oh,
lost a
yes.
great leader in John Lewis sometime back last year and everything. But I was just wondering if you could talk about, we're in the middle of a new civil rights struggle in my mind right now. And it seems to me that the church's role is still very pivotal in that. And I know that I talked to a good friend of mine, Reverend Gatewood, here in North Carolina, and he was talking about that he doesn't want too many of our folks to pull back at this time because he actually sometimes feels that the church community isn't doing enough with like the homeless and some of the other populations that are out there. But I was just wondering your thoughts on the role of the church in the new civil rights era that we're in the middle of.
Oh, definitely. I think that we have to, we can't give up. The Bible says you will reap if you faint not. And I think that, and Zack mentioned the great poet, Dr. Maya Angelou, and she wrote, Still I Rise, an awesome poem, Still I Rise. And it went something like this. It says, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells in my living room with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. And I think that that's what we have to promote within the church. We can't give up, because within our ancestry, they rose in the midst of the challenges.
Right.
And we have to do the same thing. And with that, we'll overcome.
That's right. Yep. That's right. Well said. I love that. That is some deep stuff. Yeah. And it's funny how we circle back to the young lady that did the inauguration from Maya to her. She's like the next one. You feel me? Yeah. She circle that in and circle back around because she's the next one. She's most.
She's picking up that mantle.
Right.
She's picking up the mantle. Yes.
That's right.
She's definitely picking up that mantle. If I could just ask one other quick question, I hope that's all right with Zack and everything. But the other thing that I know that I've really been concerned about from a church perspective, and I was thinking about this as y'all were talking and everything, is that there has been, as Zack alluded to earlier, so much grief in our community and things of that nature. I know that I actually lost an uncle last year, and I actually got to go to his funeral service. But a number of folks are not able to go to those services. They're having to find ways to cope with grief, even though they're not able to actually do the more traditional ways of grieving. So as ministers, how are you dealing with that, and how are you getting your congregation in order to deal with these situations where, because of COVID, you're not always able to do the more traditional kind of grieving rituals and all of that? So I'd love to hear some of the ways that y'all are engaging your community.
Well, one of the things that we have been doing is making sure to be intentional about staying connected to people, because right now it is very easy. It is super easy to be disjointed, because we can't physically always get together. But we have to look at the other means that we have of staying connected, whether it be phone calls, whether it means I go to your house. Even just yesterday, we were out delivering food for the homeless. And delivering boxes of food. And all I'm saying with that is that we couldn't go into the homes. We could put boxes on the porch and ring the doorbell, and we could leave. They could get it. I think the same thing with the grieving process, that we still have to make those phone calls, talk to people, stay connected. Don't feel like it's a burden if you're calling somebody 2, 3, 4 times in the day. Hey, I'm just checking up on you. Giving people those words of encouragement and inspiration, letting them know that I love you and I'm still embracing you. I can't physically embrace you, but I can be there for you. I can get on a Zoom call with you, all these different things that we still can do, for people. But just being intentional, I think, about staying connected to people and not letting them get away and be by themselves, because that's a dangerous thing as well. In this time of COVID, it's easy to not reach out to contact people, but we've got to be intentional about, I'm going to call you. I'm going to make sure you're okay.
Yes. So, definitely. Definitely. I think as well, just to let them know that you're not walking this thing by yourself, because sometimes some people, they need to just know that they have a pole beside them that they can lean on and says, I'm weary and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And you could be that pole that they could lean on and lay their head on to just have a respite, if you will, for a moment. And just as you're there for them, when you go through, they'll be there for you as well.
Yeah.
So y'all walking together. So, and just to let people know, you're not alone. You're not walking this thing out by yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Amen.
Well said, well said. We get ready to get out of here. You guys are welcome to stick around for the round table. This
Thanks,
has been
Mark.
another edition of Funk Music with Zack on IBM TV. Please don't forget our sponsor, IBMTV.tv. Dollar store, go there, check it out. Mr. Lim Shepard. A mad shout out to Kim, mad shout out to Nick, mad shout out to Ankit and to Win, all our producers here. My main man and director, my main man behind the glass, Mr. Mark Lee. We do this thing every Sunday. Y'all come and join us. We know you ain't got nowhere to go, so you might as well hang out with us. Mad shouts out. We get ready to get out of here. So I'm going to run this thing that we always do called the roll call. And I want everybody to make sure that they understand we love you. Virginia's in the house. Newport News is in the house. Georgia's in the house. Yes, yes. Indiana's in the house. Clap your hands. Philadelphia's in the house. New York is in the house. Texas, where you at, Texas? I know I see you out there. Louisiana, New Orleans. Yes, I know you there. Oklahoma, Minneapolis. I know you there. New Jersey, Ohio. Strong Island's in the house. I know you there. Canada, I see you. I see you out there in Montana. I see you over there in Washington State. I see you in California. I see you in Nevada. I see you people out there. I know y'all can clap your hands. Let's get spiritual today. We're going to make this thing go. We're going to do everything we can to get everybody healed in this world today. Australia, I hear you down under. What's up? Dubai in India. Ankit, I love you over there, baby. What's up, Germany? Tanny Soul Sister, Steady Groove. I see all you people out there. I love y'all. This has been Funk Music with Zack, y'all. Woo! I'll see y'all next time. Adios. We love you. Our special guests today, Elder Brian and Elder Nikel Bullock. That's right, Mount Gilead Baptist Church, Williamsburg, Virginia. Y'all can check them out online. Strong Island, David Brooks. Strong Island, baby. Hi, Tisha. We love you out there. Give thanks, y'all. It's been a beautiful Sunday. Mark, take us away, baby. Woo! That's hot. Around for this round
here. So great conversation and everything. So that was an amazing conversation. I see that Dr. Calhoun has joined us as well. So we're going to go into the round table with her. But first, let me bring the Funk Music with Zack theme music. And then we're going to come back with Dr. Calhoun, as well as hopefully they'll stick around, Elder and definitely Brian and Nikel Bullock will hopefully stick around as well. And then I think we've got somebody coming in that's connected to the NFL as well very shortly. So hopefully they'll be popping in as well.
And Mark, let me make sure I tell them this theme was written by Kyle Willis, right? John Willis's son in my band, and play bass and guitar. So this theme that we always do, written by Mr. Kyle Willis. Shout out to you. Thank you for letting us use this, brother. I love you, and you're gonna be in the band. We're gonna play soon. All right, hit him, Mark.
What an amazing conversation it was had with Zack, and I think Zack will be joining us in a very little bit of time and everything. Of course, he's got to go get a breather, but we always have great conversations and all of that. So I'm going to bring in one of the founders of IBMTV.tv, none other than Miss Calhoun. So Miss Calhoun is actually one of the founders and all of that. And of course, we do know we're going to have some other folks joining us also very shortly, but we've also got actually some of Zack's family that has joined us as well. And yes, we do have Maxine Pearl that has joined us as well. So I'm glad that Maxine was able to pop in. And of course, I just did an amazing event with her and everything. So we just did that recently. So we had a great conversation. And Maxine is also very much connected to the spiritual conversation and to spirituality and all of that. So it's great having Maxine back in. And hopefully Stephanie with the NFL ladies organization will join us also very shortly. But I know that I sent her the links, and I know that Kim has as well. So we're hoping that she'll join the conversation very shortly. But definitely, it's great meeting you, Brian and Nikhil. Y'all were just having great conversation.
Amen.
Big fan of y'all, and has found out that y'all are the related from the great kind of system of great nephews, great nieces, and all of that to Zack. So definitely we've got some of Zack's family that has joined the whole conversation as well. So Kim, were you backstage watching? Were you listening? And what were your own thoughts about spirituality? Because that's part of what this whole conversation was around spirituality, because they are involved with their church over there in Virginia and are definitely very active in their church. So I'd love to hear your own thoughts about spirituality, and I'm sure that Maxine can talk about that. By the way, I had the pleasure of emceeing an event for Maxine because she has a program called GAMS Unlimited, and I was the MC for that event this past weekend and everything. And definitely it was an amazing event where she was celebrating 10 years of existence, where she is doing a lot of motivational things of going on and still continuing to use her platforms to motivate a lot of leaders in our community, business leaders and others as well. So definitely I'd love to hear from both of you your thoughts about the importance of spirituality. So I'll start with you, Kim, and then come to Maxine. And then, of course, I'm sure that the good folks over there in Virginia have some thoughts as well.
Well, Mark, and I appreciate that, but let's be good host and let Maxine, because she is a guest. Oh. Let's give this to Maxine.
Well, how nice of you, Kim. I appreciate that.
Love you, girl.
But listen, when it comes to spirituality, I am all in from head to toe, all in. And that is the only way I know how to lead my life, is to allow my I call it a higher power other than myself, to guide me, lead me, direct me, and show me the way. And that has been a part of my life ever since the age of 11.
Whoa.
Yes. And it's almost like yesterday sometime when I started thinking about it, that I had gone to a tent revival, and my mother told me I couldn't go because I didn't have anybody to go with me. But I taught my sister and another friend to go with me. So we went to this revival, right? And so I'm in this tent, and then my eyes are open because I see all these people and everything all over the place. And then the next thing I know, my sister was waking me up. Let's go. We're looking all over the place for you, and you up there at the altar, out cold, literally cold.
Oh gosh!
I realized as I got older what that meant. I had been slain in the spirit. And so that's how my life has really been ever since then. And I knew that spirit was guiding me, and the decisions that I made in life was based on what my spirit told me to do. And so that's why I'm in the business that I'm in now. God has assigned me to help individuals to understand their God-given abilities.
Amen.
And then how do you map that into your life, into your profession, and even if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And so I'm on women right now. The focus is women, but it leads itself back to women have what? The babies. They have the children. That's right. And so I get a chance to talk to the mothers as well as help the mothers with their children. And so that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely, before getting to that, her thoughts as well.
You're always this power bar energy for me. Like I could get revival church from you alone. I mean, I'm thinking not, girl.
I love life, because I love people, and God is love, and love is the way. And so
come on now,
it's right together.
Go, girl. That's it. Yes.
You just make me happy when I see you. So, what you guys are doing is exactly what our world needs today, right? Look at, what has happened to us. And, Mark, to answer your question, Zack, hiya, big hugs. So anyway, I believe that spirituality is our moral foundation base. Okay. It is our principal values. of which we make our conscious decisions from, whether they're good or bad. Okay, and those conscious decisions come from. And so my theory on all of this is not as much fun as yours, or and probably inviting, but I believe it is our moral foundation. That is who we are inside us. And I believe the more people you hang out with like this, the more that energy builds up and becomes united together in all of this positive energy, which is what we're about. And why I really wanted to do this network was to bring people like you together so that we can get this awareness and message out. Because the more we spread this, then the more people become this, right? Yeah. Or if you spread all the negativity that you see in standard media, then that spreads. Look what's happened to the U.S. That media platform, to me, and even Adam Lamparello said it, that media platform caused and created the divide we have in the United States. But when you take information like this, when you take love like this and pure joy, and you spread it, oh, that's good.
It's contagious.
That's what it is.
It's totally contagious.
Let's spread it like glitter, and your energy just wraps me up in love. Where I could have been feeling my lowest low before I came in here. I'm not feeling it.
There you go.
That just made me like the happiest person in the world. Why? Because look, this is what we need to share and spread. And Zack, thanks for and Mark, thanks for doing this on Sundays. Yeah, and I hope
glad to do it. Glad to do it.
She's traveling. But just to give you a little highlight about Stephanie, she is NFL Sisters in Service. Her husband played football for the NFL, suffered an extreme head injury. Her missions in life, because she did well with her business, she's a lawyer and an entrepreneur, was to give back to people. And so that's what she does on a perpetual basis. You will see her, but her biggest missions are things like at-risk children, how to get them out of at-risk and up again, feeding them is one of them, making sure that they get food. And I did a project with her last year that I'm just very proud that we did it together, and we're going to do it again. And another one of her missions is one that's very near and dear to my heart, is anti-human trafficking and sex trafficking. Okay. And that is another one. And then, of course, veteran athletes who have suffered serious injuries that nobody cares about anymore, right? So she's got others. I mean, the list doesn't stop there.
Right.
But Stephanie, until she gets on here, I'll give this little pitch for her, and then she can come share more. She is hosting a 3-day event at the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people don't know this, and I wish Nick was on to kind of share the story, but we kind of did some projects last year with the NFL and Super Bowl. And legally, nobody's allowed to use the letters NFL unless you're approved by the NFL to use them, right? You just can't say NFL because you're the TV network. So legally, you have to get approved, and that approval process is very hard. And standardly, they only give that right to about 10 organizations. Okay, go look. I mean, literally, I think United Way is one of them. I forget the others. There's they gave me 3, but Stephanie's one of them. Okay, that's because she's true, unique, hardworking. And so she's taking the ability to use this because, that's good marketing, right? And she's hosting this 3-day event at the Super Bowl Stadium there in Tampa. And each day it's going to be about promoting some of these efforts to help children who are at risk, to help stop human trafficking and sex trafficking. And I forget what the other, there's a bunch of them. Okay. And she'll come on and share it. But the thing is we need to get behind her. Right. And so she's going to be hosting these events. We're going to be broadcasting them. So if you got time during the day, stop in and text and support. Because the more text we get, the more support we get, then the more sponsors she can get. And that's what helps fund her project.
Mm-hmm.
And bringing out these awareness the way she does, unfortunately, has made her a target.
Mm-hmm.
Her life was made attempt of a few weeks ago.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
From what? From who?
We don't know. She was pulling into her driveway. A car was parked outside of it. They got out and started shooting at her. She was lucky enough to get away, but the bullets hit her car 3 times. Apparently, they had intent to really kill her because they didn't hide themselves behind masks. So she's been in hiding for a while, but she had planned this event and she decided, I'm not going to hide anymore. The NFL stadiums are her home, right? So I mean, I think she feels kind of, it's not going to be in the stadium, but I think she's going to feel that's safe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that anyone would make an attempt on her life around all of the people who are going to be there, but I was shocked. You know, Stephanie and I are close colleagues, friends, I would say. So when I hadn't heard from her in a while, I was, you know, you're concerned, but everybody's kind of separated since COVID. But when she shared the story with me on TV the other day, I almost fell on my chair because she hadn't shared the story with me before the show. And I'm like, I could hardly breathe because this is somebody I love, I respect, and this is words you hear on and watch on TV, not your friend.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I told Stephanie I would do whatever it takes to help her get her missions out there, that whoever's trying to stop her will regret it. They will regret it. And we're going to continue our missions. We're going to work together. So I've offered her airtime, but she's been very busy. Like, so if she can show up, she can. She's on the road today. I've texted her the link. If she can, she will. She has text back and going to try. So but we have a team of people that are working with her from IBM TV that are going to go out and make sure her events get broadcasted. It will be broadcasted at ibmtv.tv. Brandon from Travel. So if you can give him a little support and shout out and love, he's dedicating his time and efforts to make sure it happens. He has a show on Tuesdays, and I think we're going to bring Stephanie in on Tuesday to talk about where the event is, how to travel safe during COVID, where to park, you know, all the travel things. Right. So, and that will be Tuesday at 11 on IBM TV. So shout out and give Brandon some support and love too. But the thing is that this is all about what's good for humanity. So why is somebody trying to stop it?
Yeah, that's crazy. I hate to hear things like that because, you know, the woman is actually doing something to bring positive peace, love, and harmony and save people. And, you know, so I hate to hear it. I'm saddened for that, Kim, to hear that.
Yeah, I'm very sad to hear that as well. One of the things I was going to ask Brian and Nikhil and everything is, I know that one of the things we talk about on this platform is us trying to be one human family. That even comes back to what Kim was talking about with this person being threatened and everything of that nature. So as folks involved in the church, and then I'll come down to Maxine as well, I'd love to hear your thoughts about us trying to, in these difficult times, be part of a one human family, because definitely we have people of different denominations, different religions, different kinds of ethnicities, different things, ways that we are attempted to be divided by society. But in the end of the discussion, we are all part of the human family. So I would love to hear some of the ways that y'all are even working there in Virginia with other organizations that might not necessarily be part of the Baptist community, or they might be part of the Muslim community or the Jewish community or some of the other communities. So I'd love to hear some of the ways that you are trying to unify people as part of our greater human family.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we and as that cute wife of mine shared, you know, yesterday we went out feeding the homeless, and we do that, and it's so awesome because we promote this thing, this word synergy.
Yeah.
And synergy means the great or the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
That's right.
So it's best that we work synergistically as a whole. So as you were sharing about the sisters in ministry with the NFL, and we have to know, all of us working together can accomplish so much.
Yeah.
And we can do it. We can accomplish more than we can working individually.
Mm-hmm.
So to promote that togetherness and doing this now, what we do, we have several churches that are involved in feeding the homeless. So all of us work together, and it's not about denominations. This is about crossing denominational lines. It's even just not even looking at denominations to know that we're working together to help somebody else. So we do this in our feeding the homeless and feeding the less fortunate, because there are some in this time of COVID that while they aren't homeless, they're still going through some challenges.
That's right.
So if we can reach out and help them and to be a helping hand at this moment, I think it's so key there. And I saw Sister Stephanie was just dialing in, and she'll
she was
come
dialing
back.
in. I wanted to join in her conversation. Hopefully she'll be able to hear us and everything, because I was really impacted by what was being told to us by definitely Kim as to what Sister Stephanie has been going through, and a lot of the great work that she is doing there in the NFL and all of that. So I was definitely looking, we can hear you, and looking to hear more about what you've got going on with your various projects that you have happening there as part of the Super Bowl. And by the way, one of the things that I did, because I do a little bit of research before doing the guests and everything, is I also understand that not only have you been doing the work with the NFL, but I understand that you also possibly, I think, still involved in a political run as well.
Oh, wait, man.
She's amazing.
Yeah. The communication might be delayed a minute.
I missed the last part after NFL. I'm so sorry.
No problem. I was saying that I also heard that you were running for a political office, I believe.
Hi, guys. It's so nice to be on with you. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Don't be sorry.
Can you
yes,
hear me?
we can hear you, Stephanie. Don't be sorry. Share with everyone who you are, what Sisters
in Hollywood,
in Service,
Florida.
Right. And what you're doing this coming week, and how we can support you.
Martin Luther Street.
The weather's really bad.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
So
yes,
now it's on, yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can now.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear?
Maybe she can't hear us.
Yeah.
I'm actually driving to Florida now for the game. But we are getting ready for our annual event. This year we're having the NFL Veterans and NFL Military Unity in the Community Weekend, where we'll be hosting both NFL veterans and and military veterans of our U.S. Armed Services for a Thursday event beginning on Thursday and ending on Saturday. We're super excited about it. All of the proceeds will benefit 3 amazing charities: Code Pink 2020. They are in the Tampa area, and they benefit children in the foster care system. We're also raising money for Movies Making a Difference. They raise money and work with survivors of sex trafficking. And the last charity will be Mary Sayah, Junior Sayah's sister, has started a charity in his honor, the Mary Sayah CTE and the Concussion Legacy Foundation, just to make sure that we're also supporting some of the issues that our players and the players' families face.
Amen.
Beautiful.
And how can we help? You're going to be hosting this event. We're going to be broadcasting it.
So we are going to be at 4414 Grady Boulevard, 5 minutes from the stadium, and Yes, well, we're looking for people to share the word on their social medias. If you're in the Tampa area, to come out, make a donation. You'll get free lunch. You'll get liquor from our liquor sponsors, sponsor products from our sponsors. So once you make the minimum donation, which is on Thursday is $25, and on Friday and Saturday is $50, then you'll be able to come in, interact with the players and our military veterans, and also some great information and great products.
Beautiful.
And fun.
That's good.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing event, and definitely it sounds like it's definitely a very worthy cause and all of that. So I know that folks that are listening and watching will definitely be trying to get engaged. How can folks become engaged? Is there ways that they can reach you
I'm
if
sorry,
they're
I
still
sort of have a
interested in participating?
delay.
Okay, so Mark, can you share my screen? We can all still be up on the thing, but can you share the screen that I'm showing? It's NFLsistersinservice.org. So if you share the screen, you'll see the NFLsistersinservice.org. Thank you.
Yes,
and
you can. They can. Yes.
Excellent.
So
NFL Sisters in Service
.org. And maybe you can post that on.
We are looking for volunteers. If you're in the Tampa area, we're still looking for volunteers for that day. If you're in the Tampa area and you'd like to come out and volunteer, I think there's an event flyer on that on the website as well.
Okay, let me
there's
go.
more information about the organization and how you can reach us. We're going to have a lot of musical entertainment too. One of the really fun things on Saturday is we've got a band that's made up of NFL players as well as military veterans, and they're going to be performing that day. And they're going to be performing that before our awards ceremony. We're having an awards ceremony where NFL veterans are honoring military veterans that have a significant or played a significant role in their life. And so we're super excited about that. We have some amazing local talent. Al Chisholm will be out performing. He's a great jazz artist in the Tampa area. And just an amazing lineup of talent on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then we've got a lot of interaction from our players with the products and things that they've come to do after football. So we're excited to support them as well.
And it's going to be fun. I mean, you're not just donating to a good cause and mission that just spreads and shares. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been to a couple of Stephanie's events. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to have a lot of fun. So,
you know. Sounds like it's going to be a great event. And I think that.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And one of the things that we strive to do is to make an event, NFL Sisters in Service, the wives and the daughters, we strive to make an event that our husbands will enjoy, because many times when they're asked to come out, the people who are asking don't take into consideration that they have families and that accommodate for the families. They don't take into consideration that not all men want to, sit around at a fashion show, that's full of women's fashion. So we try to make our events about the players so that they can enjoy coming out and, be able to bring their wives and their kids out and, and make it a family affair.
And how big is the organization? I know that the NFL has a number of teams, and of course there are teams even here in the Carolinas a team in the Carolinas where we are and everything, but definitely they're throughout the country. So how big is the NFL Sisters in Service organization?
We played in Carolina. That was our first team. We played there the first the inaugural 3 seasons of the Panthers. And I remember being on that team bus and going down to I forgot the name of the stadium. It may have been Clemson, as a matter of fact, but going and playing down there, meeting the guys there on Sunday mornings, taking off early in the mornings with our kids, and then riding back on the team buses with the guys. And we just lost Kevin Green from that team, and I just want to, sort of give a to him and his family right now. They played a significant impact on us as rookies.
Yeah,
The
that was
organization
very
is
sad. That was very sad to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's my partner there, my little hubby there. Um, but yeah, it really was. It was a shock. We weren't expecting it, but we lose so many guys through CTE and through concussion related injuries. And we really are trying to make an impact in that regards, and making sure that they're, they're educated on the proper steps to protect themselves and their families down the line. So um, we have over 5,000 retired players in the NFL, and then current players. And so all of them who have a wife, mother, or daughter, those women are members of our organization or eligible to be members of our organization. Active members, we have I'd say about 400 or 500 members throughout the country. But we are definitely um, um, mighty in what the work we're able to do compared to the numbers that are actively involved. And so we're very thankful for the women. One of the things that we do is we bring our resources to the table. So if we've got a wife who has an accounting degree, we'll engage her to do accounting work pro bono for a charity that we support. Or if we have a wife with a legal degree, we'll engage them to help a family who needs some legal advocacy. And so those are some of the ways that we assist. We've given away cars to single moms, and actually she wasn't a single mom, and that's one of the things that we wanted to stop doing. We had a mom and father who were struggling. They had the mom was trying to finish school. They had 2 children, and they were both in a home. So we gave them a car so that they could do what they needed to do. We want to support families, encourage families. And so, those are just some of the things that we do. We are very supportive of veterans. I myself am the daughter of a veteran, a Vietnam veteran. I'm the niece of a veteran who my home. And so I'm just very excited to be able to support them this weekend in Tampa.
Sounds like some amazing work that you're doing. How much activity were you doing in terms of like Black Lives Matter and things of that nature? Because we do know the sports community was very much involved in that. How much were the NFL sisters involved in that as well? Because we do know that we saw a number of athletes step out in time to have that communications about the importance of us being active in our race relations and all of that. But I was just curious, how active was your organization?
We took the lead in that. We were one of the first organizations within the NFL to step out on our social media and support those on those causes, and to support the people that were fighting for the social justice issues and rights of equality for all people, black people, underserved people. I think that one of the things that we miss when we talk about Black Lives Matter is that at this point in our time, in our history, we all have to realize that the threat is still very, very real that's out there. And so for us as wives of Black men, predominantly Black men in the NFL, it's 75% Black men, to not take a stand and to not support, you know, the cause that was going on, and to understand that our community was being affected would have been irresponsible of us. So we were very vocal in making sure that we you sort of, you sort of act, and then if the others don't act, then they look sort of bad. And so we've always been that kind of, we're gonna do what's right. You don't follow, you'll look like an ass, but we're gonna still do what we have to do.
Yep. Well said.
Well said, very much well said. I could not agree with you more on that. Maxine, did you have any questions? I know that you're definitely involved in an organization that's doing a lot of great work with your GAMS Unlimited, that is doing women entrepreneurship here in our triangle area of North Carolina. So it sounds like y'all are actually doing similar kind of work. So Maxine, if you want to share with Stephanie what GAMS is about, and also what the initial GAMS stand for, as you did in that anniversary celebration that I was proud to be part of it and everything. I'm sure that she would love to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, GAM stands for Greg, April, Maxine, Marcus, and Sean. So actually the two parents, the two children, and the first grandson. And within that name, I always use the tagline, transforming generations. And so when you're talking about working with the NFL, the wives, the parents, and then the children as well, that's what GAMS Unlimited does, is that we work not only with the women in the household, but once you get to the mother, then the mother has a need for the children. So we also help with students, and we help students who are in the sports as well, because many times they have that idea that they want to go into the NFL, NBA, and so forth. We never discourage them. That's your plan A. But we're your plan B. So when that does not work out, you have a fallback. You have another career that you can step into and move forward. And it does not have to be outside of sports. We look at all the options within sports. And so that's what we do from the GAMS Unlimited. But when it comes to the women, we do Levelless. And Levelless is about Levelless women succeeding, and it's helping what you just said. I love what you said, the underprivileged, underserved, underrepresented, undervalued, not promoted because of certain situations. But we help women to understand their worth, to advocate for themselves, and to succeed. Always achieve success based on your own terms. So that helps us to remove that glass ceiling. That helps us to remove that you have to go according to what society tells you to go and go down the path or the journey that society wants you to go down. No. If you're not invited to the table, we help you to create your own table. And so that's what Levelless Women Succeeding does. So yes, I would love to be able to talk to you offline, because it's everybody working together for the same common cause, and that's to help everybody to have a better place and have a better life.
Yeah, and Brian and Nikhil, I'd love to hear you talk about this as well, because you also have some people involved in your own family. I understand, Nikhil, you were an athlete. Definitely, Zack talked about that earlier, that you were an athlete, even though Brian tried to claim that he was the athlete and everything. But I understand that you were the actual athlete, and that y'all have at least one son, if not all three of the kids that are involved in the athletic field as well. So can you talk about that importance, and also the message that you give the athletes in your church there in Virginia? Because I do believe that we have to encourage them to actually be involved, to continue pursuing the career. But we do know that it's a relatively few amount that actually make it among those many that play around the country and all of that. So we have to find, as Maxine just said, alternative routes and try to encourage them to have backup plans in their education. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and the way that y'all involve the church in that and your own family.
Oh, definitely. With our church members, not only with our church members, but definitely it starts at home.
Yeah.
First, it starts at home. My son just came in and about 5 minutes ago and waved. He has a track meet. So he's leaving. He runs AAU track, and he has a track meet today. So he just left going to his track meet. But we also not only talk to him, but then talk to the other youth within the church for sports as well, to not put all of your eggs in one basket.
That's right. In
that sports basket, to know that the percentage of those that will actually make it to the professional level, and to know that, hey, that's not all you can do. That you're so much, that's just a chapter or a piece of your life, but that's not just your entire life, that there's so many other things, and you have to be well-rounded to pursue those other things as well, because you are blessing in so many areas.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Nikhil?
Well, we definitely do support the kids in their sports endeavors, even when they're, middle school, high school. Our senior pastor, executive pastor, Pastor Beverly, she will go to, as long as it's known, whatever sport that the child is in, she will try to be there for them. And so likewise, I've learned from her example, and we'll try to get out there to go to various sporting events for the kids, because I believe that sports is not just a way to provide a career, but it's got to be like I'm trying to teach my younger son that this is your life. Running is your life. It's something that you love. It's something that will be helpful and beneficial to you over your lifespan, that you'll be able to, have healthy habits. So maintaining a life connected to some sort of sports in that way just keeps you healthy. Again, going back to the mental health aspect of it, it helps with mental health, being physically fit. Even as we get older, those with dementia, what they find in the research is that when people are more physically active, we always think that you've got to keep your brain active. Well, it's the physical activity. So sports is a lifelong kind of an endeavor. Even though I ran in high school, I didn't run in college. But I continued to run throughout my life. And recently I've been having some issues, some joint issues with my hip. So I've had to curtail my running, but I'm still out there walking, and so just promoting the sports for even just the health aspects of it. But you're right. I mean, and it has the ability to bring communities together, to bring people together, because we're cheering on our kids when we're sitting out there on the sidelines in football, and basketball and all these other endeavors. And we're constantly cheering them on that they can do these different things. But I think it's not the be all to end all, but I think that it also is something that it's a lifelong thing that we should keep up with. So,
and also when our kids can look in the stands and see their pastor, from our youth from the church, when they can look in the stands, even if mama or daddy can't make it, but they see their pastor in the stands cheering them on, it gives them a hope. And they want to do better. They want to give their all when they're out there because of that. And, so that support plays so much of a role. But, it takes a village to raise a child.
That's
and it
right.
tells the kids that what they're
Yeah, it
doing.
definitely takes a village to raise a child. I'm sure that Zach has got some comments as well that he'd like to add. And I know he's been getting into some walking lately as well, because he's been doing more of that as he's been trying to get on an exercise regimen. He's getting on my case because he knows I need to do more of that I've not been doing and everything. So he's rightfully getting on my case. And by the way, Stephanie, and I'm also going to, hopefully you're still listening and everything. I do know that one thing that he wants to be sure that you do is include some funk music in everything that you're doing with the NFL parties and NFL activities that you're doing, because he is a master of funk music and all of that. So definitely we need some funk music over there going as well. So Zach, any comments?
Yes, I do. First of all, thank you, Stephanie. Oh yeah, I was gonna say thank you for all your hard work. I know we're on a delay, so I'm just gonna
Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I definitely want to bring that funk on.
Yeah, I'm an advocate. I said on one of my shows yesterday, P-Funk has not done the Super Bowl yet, so I'm an advocate for that. But on the serious tip, right? First of all, I appreciate everything that you're doing. You're an amazing person, as well as everybody on this panel. I'm a football junkie, and I have kept track over the past 40 years of the gentlemen that have given their life, the Mike Websters, the Junior Seau's of the world, the people that have dedicated their brains, the Durisons of the world. After they pass on, I've dedicated a lot of research and time understanding how the NFL is trying to make things better. And I know change is slow. I do understand the new rules changes and the things like that. But I think in addition to what they've done to make the game safer, what you're doing is a vital part of keeping the game safe and keeping everybody conscious of understanding there's a greater good. like Pastor Bullock said, the synergy. There's a greater good. And I just want to say thank you. I applaud you because you, my dear Stephanie Anderson, are part of that greater good.
Amen. Yes, we are said.
That's right.
Very well said.
Amen. You know, it's about what we do. We shouldn't wait for leaders to guide us. We need to step up to the plate. And
thank you guys so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Zack. Thank you. And you know, Stephanie, you give me courage too. You give me courage that you don't have to be afraid to step up and say your voice, because every day you do it. Every day you step up for the people, and that gives other people courage. Yes. And we all need to do that. We're all going to join in, and we're going to help, right? We're all going to be there. So
yeah, we'll definitely be joining in, helping in any way that we can, Ms. Anderson and everything. So definitely we will be joining in and helping any ways that we can. Definitely glad to have you here on this platform. And I know that you're going to be on Brandon's show. Know that you're welcome to come on any of the other shows that we've got, including mine here on IBM TV, just to discuss what you've got going on and all of that. I know Kimberly had shared with us that a lot of times when you do step at the forefront, you also face folks that want to kind of like stop the action and all of that. So if you could share a little bit about even some of that, because I know that you've gone through some difficult times with what you have happening as well. So I know that that's definitely going on also. So I'd love to hear
real quick, Mark, I wanted to invite Stephanie on our show next Sunday, because next Sunday is the Super Bowl. So Stephanie, know that I'll do my show from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Anything you want to add or bring, feel free. I'll make sure we get it in.
And don't forget, I do the Facebook Live on Mondays. So I'm on Facebook Live.
You got a support group?
I hope I have gotten on with that. Feedback. I gotta.
Got a little bit of a feedback going on, so I'm gonna see if we can get the other one on as well. So I know she was trying to get on 2 links, and I think that's part of what was happening with that and everything. So hopefully she's gonna come back on, because I know she was trying to get on with the other link that I just sent. So we'll send back that. But it sounds like she's doing some amazing work. But I know she was trying to get on 2 links and all of that. By the way, Zack did an amazing event recently that was done on his page and everything, involving folks that are involved in the line dance community and all of that. So I invited another line dance friend of mine just to pop in and say hello to him and everything. So if Melinda is able to pop in and wants to be shown in her face and everything, she can do that, or she can just say hello through the stream, because I did add her into the conversation and everything. And I know that she was popping in as a person involved in the line dance community. And I know you did that great line dancing event this past Friday. So Melinda, if you're listening to us, we've just been talking about a number of things going on, including having the young lady from the young lady from the NFL that was also talking about what she's got going on and everything. So Melinda, definitely, I think you watched a little bit of the line dance event, and you can share a little bit about your own background with line dancing.
Hey, Mark. Hey, everybody. This is Melinda.
Hi, Melinda.
Hello, Melinda.
You can't see me. I look terrible. My hair's a mess.
That's called a hat day. We need a hat day when that happens.
There you go.
I know.
There's a hat for you.
Oh, Cowboys.
I'm a Jet fan. I'm just messing with my niece and nephew.
So Melinda, well, we're waiting for Stephanie to come back on and everything. Can you share a little bit about your own background with dance and everything of that nature? And then I've got a couple of just general questions, but definitely if you can share a little bit about your background with dance and line dancing and all of that.
Okay. I grew up dancing. Both of my parents were dancing. I took every kind of dance, tap dance, even square dancing when I was growing up. And I moved back to, I guess I'm born and raised in Durham, and I moved away after high school, and I moved back and started taking some line dance classes after a friend invited me to go, probably back in 2010. And I started kind of teaching in class, like some people I would see scraggling in the back. And I started teaching with another in class with that instructor when she would asked me to fill in for her when she went in on vacations or other events or whatever. And then I started teaching my own class in 2012. And I've been teaching at health fairs and different events around Durham. And I've taught some out of state and around the United States. And I knew some of the people that were involved with the call on Friday because we're a national and international line dance community.
Cool.
Awesome.
So definitely glad you're able to. Yeah.
Let's get a line dance going for the Super Bowl. Let's do a Super Bowl line dance.
Yeah, I was like, I need that connection because I love to dance.
Yes, Maxine,
I haven't danced in a long time.
Maxine, talk to us a little bit about your love of dance, because I know that was one of the things that you definitely love. A couple of your folks on your celebration talked about your love of dance. So, and then I want to hear whether Brian and Nikhil are dance folks as well, or if they one of them has the good dance move and the other has the left feet and all of that. So I'm curious to see who's able to dance. But definitely share a little bit about your own dance background, Maxine, and your love of dancing.
I love to dance because it's so much energy. You know, it's just so much, and it's great exercises. You know, it get the chance the heart to get what, as they say, increase the heart rhythm. You know, it works the muscles. And one of the things that I learned later in life as a life coach is the fact that the rhythm learners, they need to dance. They need to use those muscles. They need to use those thigh muscles and those arm muscles, and they need to move. And that's why a lot of children in school, they call them disruptive. It's not because they're disturbing the entire class. It's because they need to get up and move because they're rhythm learners. And they're containing them and forcing them to sit in that seat. And so I love to dance, and I have all this rhythm, all this energy. And that was my way of getting rid of some of it. End up being a cheerleader. And so being a cheerleader, you're flexible and everything. Line dancing, I absolutely love. I took ballroom dancing. My husband wouldn't take it, but I took it because it's like you need to learn all forms of dancing because you meet so many different people. And I'm a people person.
Yeah.
So
Maxine,
I need the link to the line dancing so I can be dancing right here at home with you.
Maxine, you said something really important that I don't think people understand. As children, the very first thing that we are taught and learned it was through music.
Yes.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know what I'm saying?
And we moved to it.
Right. Mary had a little lamp. So all the things early on, it's always been about music. I used to take my headphones and put it on Jennifer's stomach for both my children and let them listen to classical, Bach, Beethoven, funk, Stevie Wonder, Mahalia Jackson, Ray Charles. I used to put it on her stomach from the time we knew. And they grew up with that. So when they came out of the world into the world, they automatically had this gift in this world of music. But you're right. I'm so glad you said that. Rhythm and teaching people certain things. Everybody, and I was one of those kids. That's why I relate. I would be daydreaming out the window. And my teacher's always like, yo, pay attention. I was paying attention, but I was listening, but my rhythm was outside of that square box. Yeah. You know, and that's very important. I'm so glad you said that. That's real cool.
So I got to tease Brian and Nikhil. So which one of y'all is the dancer in the family and which one of y'all is not? Or is it the kids that are actually the dancers and y'all are just sitting there admiring and watching them?
See, Mark, you getting me in some trouble, Mark.
I saw Brian say his arm went up immediately. So he's the dancer.
Well, Brian is the best at everything. So yeah.
That cute wife of mine has always wanted to do some ballroom dancing.
Oh, she'll love it.
And I've been kind of avoiding that because, you know, I can do everything, not everything, everything. except dancing. So I've been trying to avoid that dancing, but now you done brought it up again, and she's gonna be like, "Come on, now, we gotta."
See, that's God telling you to get out there and ballroom dance.
That's right. That's right.
He's talking to you.
That's right. That's right. I'm just an undercover dancer. You know, when I remember.
Look at Kim. Look at Kim.
She's getting her dancing on.
Kim got it.
There you go.
I'm dancing in my chair.
Okay. And you're talking about dancing in the chair, but believe it or not, when I do the diabetes workshops, I have them to exercise in their chair.
Yes.
Because everything is not about getting up and moving your legs. You can also exercise with your arm and the upper body.
Yep.
You know, and dancing is one of the things you can do just sitting down.
That's right.
Hi, Stephanie.
How are you guys?
Glad we got Stephanie back on and everything. Definitely glad that you're able to join us. We were
Rocking
talking about
chairs develop the heart flow from your legs.
Yes.
And those old-fashioned sewing machines.
Yes.
Remember when the women did this? They learned that's why those women lived longer than men, because it develops the proper blood flow from the legs to the heart. So a man developed a little machine that sits under your desk, and this is what you do all day. And all of the doctors at Duke bought one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Wow, that's
Sewing
amazing.
machine all day. But dancing in the chair, you bet, girl. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
Stephanie, we were talking about dancing because I had Melinda that was not able to do the whole visual thing, but she was sharing a little bit about her line dancing background and all of that. So we were talking about dancing. So as one that has been involved in the NFL, and actually I know that sometimes even our professional athletes use dance as a way of part of their training. So I'd love to hear you talk about the importance of dance from that aspect, because I do know that for a fact that sometimes our NFL athletes use dance as even part of their training.
They do, some of them. Mine did not, and I'm not a very good dancer. But I did hear about the line dancing. I have that one dance, come on it, the horse dance. I could do that one pretty good, and then I could do the Carlton dance pretty good. But
As a club funketeer, Stephanie, with Bootsy Collins and Peppermint Patty, we have a club funketeer ambassadors line dance crew. So anytime you want to join us and come on,
wow.
You're welcome to. Yeah, because I'm a club funketeer ambassador for Bootsy Collins and Peppermint Patty. And we just did a show Friday night, and we had all the line dancers on, dancing to Bootsy Collins' new album, by the way, Power of the One. So, y'all check that out. But anytime, I got your number in the link, so I'll be texting you, and we'll stay in touch, okay? I got your number in the chat.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I know that Stephanie, if you can, one thing, Stephanie, that I know that you're in. Hopefully you can hear me, Stephanie. But one thing that I know that you've been involved in is definitely the work with concussions and things of that nature. It's actually interesting that you do work in that field, because I was talking to a friend of mine at one of my jobs and everything, and he was noticing somebody wearing a rugby shirt. And he was actually saying that when he talked to somebody that played rugby, they felt that the helmet is actually part of what causes the problem, because they actually felt that rugby was a safer sport than, say, NFL football because of the helmet and all that. And I know that they're working on different concussion protocols and all of that. But I was just wondering, how do you feel we're doing in terms of working with the NFL in terms of concussion protocols and even COVID protocols? Because I know that that's something that has also been impacting what's going on as well in this modern day society that we're living in. But how do you feel that we're doing in the protocol systems?
I think that in terms of COVID, the NFL has done a pretty good job. They did give all of the rookies and all of the players the option of opting out and receiving a base salary for the year. And so that was, one of the things that it's something that would be unique to what the NFL in terms of, being proactive in terms of player care. But NFL football is very unique in the fact that it's outdoors. The stadiums are very large. And so by reducing the size of the people, the size of the number of the people that are allowed into the stadium, they've been able to still maintain the same revenue. They're just charging 4 times as much for the tickets. And so my concern is that it's becoming an elitist sport, even more so than it was. And that's going to be happening across the board. In terms of their concussion protocol, I don't really think that they've made more headway. What they've done is they've told players up front what they did not tell my player, and that is that playing professional football causes brain injuries, and we know it. Everybody always wonders, how could you not know it? Well, 30 years ago, we didn't know it. We played in the 90s and we just had no idea. And we were actually the first family to foul a successful disability suit against the NFL for brain injury, which was the one that kept the concussion suit alive because they tried to deny to the end that there weren't anybody that they were paying for brain injuries and they didn't know of any. And so, you know, in terms what my concern is now is getting the message out to players that you have I don't want to, be like a Debbie Downer, but the statistics say it. I just have to give you the numbers. You have a greater chance of getting your getting on disability in this league than living long enough to receive your pension. The average life expectancy for an NFL player is 58 years old. 58.
Wow.
And so, and we have so many guys that are playing and putting, it all on the line and not understanding that this is a game that the NFL perpetrates fraud against you every day. If you've ever wondered, why do you see players being traded from one team to another and they're injured or they're barely able to play anymore? It's because the NFL has a financially vested interest in making sure that you play 2 years longer than your injuries show up. So if you have a career-ending injury that disables you in 2020, and I can keep you playing by giving you more contracts until 2022, I owe you half the money in disability for the rest of your life. And so these are all things that we need to educate these players about, because the danger and the occurrence of the rate of occurrence for concussions hasn't gone down any in the NFL.
And I know that one of the other, I was going to say, I know one of the other things that happens sometimes as well that people don't talk enough about, but I mean, you hear it on the news every once when it happens, is the fact that a lot of times our players, even at the high school and the college level, are oftentimes being practiced in environments that are not necessarily conducive. I hear about the players that have heat strokes and things of that nature, but then it's like after it happens, it's just kind of like mentioned, and then even when there are fatalities, we oftentimes just heard it mentioned, but there's no follow through as to what they're doing to prevent these kind of things from happening, even on like the high school level and the college level. And I know that there are a number of states like Florida, like Texas, and a number of other states that are heavy in their football culture. Hate to tell you that, Brian, and everything, so I know you're a Dallas fan and all of that, but they are very heavy in their football culture. But I was just wondering your thoughts about how we're doing in terms of even like informing our youth about what's going on, even down to like the high school, the junior high, and the college levels.
I think we're doing a fairly good job of informing them because they have mothers, and they have mothers who are responsible at the end of the day as to whether or not they're going to give them permission to play or not. And a lot of mothers have looked at those occurrences and seen what's going on and decided this might not be the best sport for you to play at this age. Let me find a different sport for you to play. And that bears out by the decrease and the decline in the numbers in youth football and high school athletic football, all of those areas. And so um, I don't think it's a bad thing. I honestly think that we do need to have a law in this country that you can't even start football until a certain age, contact football until a certain age, because I've seen kids that are like 4 and 5 and 6 years old going head on, and the father's cheering them on, the mom's cheering them on, the coach is cheering them on, and they're at their age and their size against another child. It's just as impactful for them. And so these kids are doing damage to themselves that we really can't even foresee. And I just like, even with our case, we didn't start playing football until 8th grade. I say we because as a family, we've all suffered the consequences and the effect of playing in the NFL. But we didn't start playing football until 8th grade. And so, and he still ended up with brain injuries 5 years into his play in the NFL. And so, we just have to really be conscious of the fact that the longer we expose our children to these types of injuries, so the greater the risk are. And most of these guys have played since they were 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Stephanie, Zack here. I watched the special on Jim McMahon and the concussions and everything, and Junior Sale. Like I said, I'm a very interesting person when it comes to looking at football from a different perspective, having played it up until high school, and then I stopped. But I looked at it because I'm always concerned when I hear, about dementia and concussions. I'm a dementia trainer by trade. So I worked with people with dementia as well as Alzheimer's and healthcare. But I saw what Jim McMahon told everyone. He said, I can't even remember playing in the 85 Super Bowl with the Bears. And he said, I have to program my house in my phone because when I go right around the corner to the grocery store, I can't remember how to get home. And I say all this to say, I'm so glad you spoke up and said what you just said now about the NFL because they knew a lot of this stuff, but they weren't really telling people. And I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of people need to see both sides of the coin. And having you today as a panelist is amazing. And just keep up your great work. But, there are some of us out here that really understand how and what's going on. And where, a lot of people are naive to it, but, a lot of us understand that, hey, they're not treating people fairly that played for so long. And then they can, like you said, they don't even live that long. And to me, I know they're warriors and I know people, root and we cheer and we all have our favorite teams, but I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing and please keep up the great work.
Yeah, definitely keep up the great work. You're doing some amazing work, and I couldn't agree more with what Zack was saying and everything. I've actually got nephews that have started off playing soccer, and then they were playing flag football. I need to check with my younger brother. I don't think they're doing the contact level right now and everything. I think they were content with just the flag version. But the NFL is very much of a powerful institution. There are several powerful institutions out there and everything. So how are you feeling about even going up against such a powerful institution? Because I mean, what you're doing is very much something that is taking a lot of courage to do, because definitely that is a major institution in our society. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about even going up against this powerful corporate power.
The funny thing about fighting the NFL for the last 25 years, I guess it's been now, is that they think that I am his attorney. That, like, if you go through the records, they're like, um, the player's attorney. And I'm like, I'm not his attorney. I live this every day with him. We watch this every day with him. My daughter and I have been by his side since he was damaged by the NFL. And so there's nothing that they could do to intimidate me again away from fighting and advocating on behalf of these men and their families. I have seen so many and heard so many families firsthand and the wives firsthand of the situations that occur because of the damage that they did. And our situation, my partner was very smart. He or very lucky. He recognized that there was something wrong, and he spent 2 years trying to get out of a guaranteed contract instead of trying to stay in the NFL. But we didn't know at the time that the NFL had to try to fight him for that 2 years. We didn't know why for many years later. And so there's always a new fight with them because they have to cover up their last dirty trick. And so many changes have been made to the plan document because of the advocacy and the fights that I've made on behalf of my family. Just even in terms of them trying to limit the amount of money that a player can make on disability because they want to limit the amount of money that the family can make. So the wife can't eat. They want to try to say that the wife can't. So it's just so much that they've tried to do over the years that we've had to fight. And even now we have a case in federal court against them for the fraud that they've perpetrated by withholding the plan documents from the players. so that they know what their rights are in terms of filing for disability. And so
Could you just
I've had attempts on my life recently, and I don't know where they came from. The thing about fighting for right and for justice in a bunch of different areas is that it could be anybody that's doing wrong. So, you know,
Yeah, definitely. And I've known that, as I was saying when you first came on, and I know we were having a little bit of the earlier technical difficulties, but you're definitely coming in clear and everything. I also know that you've actually been even involved in the political front yourself. And I know when I did a little bit of research after Kim told me about you that you were running for office, and I don't know if you're still running for office there in Hollywood, Florida, and everything. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit about how that is going, because I know that definitely sometimes people that are connected to folks, they often will run for office, or after that brings them to their cause of advocacy. I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Rain Pryor, who is Richard Pryor's daughter, and I know that she ran for office in Maryland. She did not win, but she definitely said that she's looking at still continuing being active and an activist. And of course, she learned a lot of that from her dad, which was Richard Pryor, of course. But definitely, I was just wondering if you could share a little bit about your own run and if it's still going on, and why you think that it's important to be involved in that way.
well, just like Rain, it's sometimes her getting involved. She didn't win, but what she did was to bring great awareness to causes and issues that her opponents have to take up and consider, because the people of her district are know that there's someone out there considering them. And in my case, I ran to become a commissioner in the city of Hollywood. It was on the November ballot. I ran nonpartisan. I was the only nonpartisan candidate running in the nonpartisan race. Everyone else was a Democrat or a Republican pretending to be a Democrat. And so, in regards to making sure that we are advocating for our community, sometimes we have to step into position politically. I was qualified to run. I was the only candidate who had the business degree to run the city as a business and to start to vet some of the things that were coming before the city, instead of blindly signing out to special interest and developers. And so I ran on that fact. One of the things that I think that we need to be careful of as a community is that we stop assigning and saying that all Black candidates are the same. There was another Black woman that was in the race prior to me getting in the race. And I always say it to people, if she was qualified, if she were the person that was going to be able to stand up to these individuals and actually be able to communicate our interests based on economic facts. My degree is that I have a master's degree in business management and a degree in business law. And so a lot of the things that come before our commission require an understanding of both. And so while I supported her as an individual in our community, I felt that we needed to have a better option. Otherwise, we were going to end up with the same commissioner that we had before. But I did have some people tell me, you're splitting the Black vote. And I had to explain to them that the Black vote is only so much in this community or in any community. We have to split the vote, period. We have to bring in the vote from every segment of our community. I was running to represent everyone in the city of Hollywood. And as a result, coming into the race 5 months before the election, where the others have been running at least 2 years, in 5 months, we were able to garner 1,500 votes and defeat the incumbent. The seat went to the other Anderson, who was the other Black woman that was in the race. She and I have always been able to work together in our community. We'll continue to work together for our community and for the good of the city of Hollywood. But that incumbent who was robbing from our community is gone now, and he lost by 300 votes.
Wow. I know one of the things that definitely Nikhil and Brian were saying that they could speak to as well was a little bit about youth concussions and all of that. So I'd love to hear their thoughts about youth concussions and what their own reflections are in that regards. And then I was also seeing that Scarlett, who's over there in Florida and has done some work on our network as well, and is part of our VR AR community that exists around both the globe as well as here on IBM TV. And I'm glad to call her one of my friends and everything has joined our conversation also. So definitely, Scarlett, we've got this amazing conversation going on with Stephanie, who's doing the NFL Sisters activities. And I know that you've done a lot of things also with definitely Art Basel, NFL, and a number of other things. As a matter of fact, Art Basel was actually just mentioned on one of my other shows because I had Holly Jane on, if I remember her name correctly, but she's an artist out of the California area, but she has actually attended some of the things that you do and is definitely looking to get more involved with Art Basel. So I actually have to put the two of y'all in touch with each other. But definitely, Brian and Nikhil, if you got to share some things, I'm sure that folks would like to hear what you got to share about concussions and the whole youth concussions part of what goes on.
Oh, definitely. My son, who I just spoke about running track, the reason why he's running track now is because he got a concussion. Actually, he got his second concussion playing youth football. And at the second concussion, we told him, as well as the doctor at the emergency room, told him, hey, this is the second time you've had a concussion within 4 years. And he said, I recommend you not play anymore. And I told him on the way to the hospital, hey, this is it. You will not play football anymore. And he cried, and you know,
cried.
He still he's got in high school and begged
to play.
You know, can I play? The coach came to me after they saw him running track. The coach came to him and said, hey, we could really use you on the football team. And he came back to us, and we were like, oh, no. You know, the first concussion that he had during that season, their team went on to win their Super Bowl. And while at the Super Bowl, ESPN showed up, and they were looking to talk to me about the concussion because they asked about youth concussions, and they explained that my son had had it. But I was in the booth recording because I was their videographer, recording all the games, and they couldn't find me. And they told me afterwards that ESPN was looking for me. You know, I found it kind of strange when they walked on the field with all of their cameras. I didn't know who they were. And I tried to walk on the field, and they wouldn't let me on the field, but they let these guys on the field. So I went back and said, hold up, why do you let them on and you don't let me on? And they said, oh, that's ESPN. And I said, oh, okay. but they did find me a booth,
you know what?
and I was able to record. But I stopped we stopped him from playing football then because
one thing, though.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what were you saying, Stephanie?
You know, he may have been upset with you at the time, but as he gets older, he will 100% understand. When you see men that are in wheelchairs at the age of 38 and 39 years old, losing their ability to speak because of ALS, when you see men having seizures, when you see men who don't know their wives and children, and they are all so young, like these men still look like physically fit. Many of them, they look like they can still play football, and you cannot tell there's an issue unless they're in the decline where they're in the wheelchairs or something like that. But even then, it's like you know, when you look at that as a young child or a teenager, you may not think it can happen to you. And I'm sure none of them thought that it could happen to them, but it can. And when you get older, they realize, you know, I probably dodged a bullet. We feel like we would have been even worse off if we didn't stop immediately, begin immediately trying to quit the NFL. And I don't mean to you know, downgrade the the NFL in terms of the people who make up the organizations, like the players and the employees. But as a league, as the owners, they do need to do a better job of protecting its players. And if they don't do that, they will lose their league. And that's the reason why they're trying to get females in the NFL now. I don't know, guys, you've heard that. But they want us to go play. And we're like, you lost your mind. We saw what it did to him.
I don't want to get a concussion. I'm smarter than that.
I was
I
120
think they already
pounds.
have-
Women have brains. Women have brains, okay? We know how to use them. I mean, come on. But you know what happened when I first started learning
the
about all the
economic disparity that exists in this country. I'm sorry, but if you think about it, Kimberly, the economic disparity that exists in this country has been the same thing that's forced young Black boys to play football in the first place instead of following their dream. You know, they've got there are barriers to the things that they have wanted to do for so long, and then you have the disparity in the pay and what you do with those jobs. And so, as women, we face that even more so. And so, if you're a woman and you've been getting paid pennies to go and pay, where you're in an aggressive situation with a boss who's coming on to you or something. Anyway, you might as well go play in the NFL where you can hit them and make more money. So
here's the thing: is that gladiator effect. This is probably the only option they have to be able to really do something bigger than big. But hear me out on this. I got so disturbed over the head injuries years ago. Now I grew up in a family football athlete. I wasn't an athlete myself. I believe in it and for all the mental and health good things, right? But when I started learning about the damages to the brain and nobody was really caring or fixed the helmets, maybe spent another $20,000 to make sure the helmets wouldn't cause brain damage, I turned off football. Like I never wanted to watch it again. Like literally, I went from, hey, I grew up as a fan since a child, sitting, to I don't ever want to watch it again. I don't want to support you guys killing these people. I just don't want to do it. And then I came back. It was really weird. Like our first pilot show ended up being Walter Football, Fantasy Football. And that was last year. And I came back and started listening. And I realized, Stephanie, exactly what you said. This was the only alternative these guys had to do something. So how do we change it? And then I met you. And I met Scarlett first, but I met you through Scarlett, and these missions make sense to me. They just
and some of them would have done it for free. Yeah, some of these guys would have played the game. I know that my partner would have played this game for free. But at the end of the day, it's one of those situations to where you do have to consider what would the majority of them do if they had better options. And I'm like you, though, we have this love-hate relationship with the game of football, but we love NFL for us stands for in it for life. NITFORLIFE, in it for life, because you never get out of the relationships and the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the league. You just don't. It never goes away. We have over 2,500 women that we communicate with on a regular basis, almost on a daily basis, that are wives of players. And it's just because it's just this continuum. And so, we go back and forth with this game that we hate because of what it did to the men we love, but we love because of the relationships that it gave us that we've had since many of us were 20 years old.
Scarlett,
can
one
you
of the things
give everybody the website to In It for Life? Can you tell us that? In It for Life. Can you spell that again? post
we're
it.
waiting for that. Scarlett, can you tell us a little bit about how you met and how you got connected with Stephanie? Because I'm sure that folks would like to know that are watching on Funk Music with Zack, y'all's connection and how y'all got connected, and also maybe ways that we can get people more into the STEM fields, because I know that you are a big proponent of trying to get more minorities, whether it's Hispanics, whether it's African Americans, or a number of others into the STEM field, as you do come from a Hispanic background yourself and everything. So I would love to hear you talk about your connection to Stephanie, as well as ways that we can get folks involved in other kind of activities.
Yeah,
The number
absolutely.
4.
I think she's trying to give something.
Yep.
Stephanie, you wanted to say something?
She's trying to give us the website.
How did my partner I meet?
Yeah, I was asking Scarlett how y'all met and everything, and then I was going to hear how your perception of that as well. But I was going to hear from Scarlett's side as to how y'all connected, and also ways that we could get more folks involved in STEM work in our minority community.
Oh, absolutely. But Stephanie has been doing such amazing work. It was a very honor for me personally to work with her. A lot of the stuff that we do with Unify, which is my company, is just a lot of social impact. But we really primarily wanted to create more awareness about financial literacy in the United States and empower the youth through mentorship program. So we reach out. Stephanie had an amazing program to begin with, where we connect Chess for Life, where children can engage with the NFL players and the wives and NFL player as like a mentorship program to learn about chess and financial literacy. Stephanie was an amazing host. We really helped and make it a social impact to those children to learn about financial literacy, and to talk to the NFL players, and to learn about chess. And chess, of course, has been in the news recently. Queen's Gambit, a movie that came out, it was just an empowering movie, and we saw a huge turnout for chess. But these are examples of how important role models are for the youth. These are life-changing experiences that can really make a huge difference on in what directions can do. So Stephanie is the pioneer of the wife of NFL players. So she's done a phenomenal job on really helping promote that, and be able to really inspire these children who are to be part of this. And the feedback was just amazing. The parents were so thankful, and especially for minority children who are from a disadvantaged background, to have this opportunity. So these are the type of inspiration that is needed, where I feel that football and creating that mentorship program has really helped launch that. It has always been a great pleasure to work with Stephanie in that project, because even to this day, people talk about how these children not only did they learn about chess, which is very strategic, and there's a lot of overlap between chess and football, in order to implement and creating that. So but definitely something that has been very inspirational.
Hi, and good morning to.
Oops.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been very great in terms of STEAM, which is science, technology, art, and mathematics. We've been doing a lot of stuff. We just hosted one of the largest event called the Blockchain Week. It went global, but one of them that we did is also it was about blockchain and Black America. And this is to show how we need more minorities to go into technology and to get that started. But precisely for this reason, we need to get more representations in these avenues. I feel like having that mentorship with Super Bowl, getting kids involved at an early age with the financial literacy,
really empowers and change the youth of that direction. So we're starting to see more STEAM type of program with minority representatives from different background to get into this program, and I think that's much needed. Um, I'm a minority woman CEO, and there's not a lot of women in technology, believe it or not. So this is something something I've been trying to drive more. But through these mentorship programs that Stephanie has done, has been really empowering, because that's where you really get youth engaged. We're starting to see that there's going to be the first woman landing on the moon in 2024 with NASA Artemis program. So women empowerment, wow, this is the stuff. It's the start of a new age where we're starting to see minorities from different backgrounds, but these are life changing. This is where you get youth to start thinking about how to become an entrepreneur and start being seen like, yes, I could be
one of the
an
things
astronaut.
that we have been.
Go ahead. And it's just a program that Stephanie has really helped develop to get those youth excited through sports. And one of the things, because I come from the emerging tech background, it never has there been an opportunity where virtual reality, especially during COVID time, has unified the kids. And I often talk to parents about, this is very different generation. The kids are being born with technology. So running simulation, and meaning they could actually be in a virtual platform. We're starting to see this a lot. And with the kids, it's really interesting. So that means they're putting on VR headsets and talking to the NFL players themselves, in areas that, because of geography, weren't able to do before previously. So they're getting more access to this type of technology. So that for the very first time, there's like this global collaboration where they can start engaging with people and meet their more role models virtually. It's been such a phenomenal opportunity to be in this industry. But it's just, again, it's been a great honor to have worked with Stephanie and to continue on this agenda to bring and empower this youth with technology under the STEAM background. It really is the work of a community to be able to build this.
I appreciate your comments on that. And by the way, I think that Maxine and you need to connect as well. I've already said that Maxine needs to connect with Stephanie, but Maxine is actually running an organization called GAMS and Levelist. So it's actually two separate organizations, but they are all about empowering women and all of that. So Maxine, you've heard that she's doing similar kind of work. So it seems like y'all need to network, even though I do know that Scarlett is also in the Florida area as well. Miami, if I remember correctly, and everything, but definitely y'all need to make those connections, because y'all are doing some very similar work. So I don't know if you got any thoughts about what she said about engaging other folks in the community, because I know that you're also about that here in North Carolina. So do you have any thoughts for either Scarlett or Stephanie or the rest of our panelists? Hold on. He's on mute.
Unmute.
Unmute. Yeah.
I said I was smiling all along, so you saw me grinning from ear to ear, even though I smiled. But my grin is just like it was stuck, because anytime I start hearing about the youth and mentorship and everything, and giving them that exposure, and to be able to talk to individuals who can not only inspire them, but they can, glean some of the trials and tribulations that they have even gone through. And so when I start thinking about youth, I start thinking about helping them to understand that gift that they have at the earliest age possible. And does that put them into a STEM or the STEAM? Does it put them into the non-traditional careers? Because we still need mechanics, electricians, and all of these individuals. And so I'm thinking like, yes, I definitely need to speak with her, because not everyone is going to be under the STEM path. But if they're not on the STEM path, then what? And so we need to help them to understand what is that next step for them. so that they can still get the exposure to these NFL players and to these other individuals, but they need to also understand the different options and opportunities that are out here, and there's no limitations. And I always say the sky is not the limit. I know we hear this cliche, it is the limit, but I challenge that. It is not the limit. So don't limit yourself. Allow your imagination to go, dream, aspire, and then you have the gifts that you were already given at birth. So let's help you to understand how to use them. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
What a powerhouse group today.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Really,
I feel enveloped in love and inspired we can do this. And, Stephanie, whatever you need, we're here. Scarlett, the reason why she's beaming in is she wants you to know that she's going to be a part of all of what's going on to help out. I wanted to share, I got in the share screen last year's
I do
NFL.
have that video, and I'll bring that up so you can share that as
I'm
well.
not going to play the whole video. I just want you guys to know it's on IBM TV. You can go look it up, NFL Sisters in Service. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Share mode. Chess for Kids on MLK Day last year. It's really a beautiful event where we all pulled together, and for the first time we streamed an event like this where we gave everyone cell phones and they all walked around and were the interviewers. They interviewed everyone. It pulled together great. Stephanie was pulled this whole thing together at the university there, and in honor of Trayvon. And we fed all of these kids. We inspired them. We want to do this again. So let's get this awareness out. See if we can do this everywhere, not just in one location, because it was so beautiful. I mean, if you get a chance to just even go watch and maybe fast forward, you're going to see NFL players.
We had a great team, Elliot, Scarlett.
Yeah, go ahead and play part of it. Go ahead and play.
Scarlett was the anchor there, making
we were
sure
actually planning the event for.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So let me fill in. Yes, so Stephanie was very gracious to honor us and inviting us to be participants at this event, and it was so all about.
I was just going to say.
I love it.
So the event was about Chess for Life, and it's about financial literacy. So this whole video is where you get the NFL player play with the children, and they go around learning how to play chess. And it basically what it was is that they had different stations, and every time they go through a station, they get a stamp from the NFL players. So they learn about financial literacy, and then learn how to play chess, and they get to meet their heroes. So isn't that amazing? This is all thankful for Stephanie. Mm-hmm.
And those kids walked away inspired.
Yes,
but I would say who had the best fun when you watched that video. Yeah, go ahead.
What were you saying, Stephanie?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it was just an amazing event, and we were just so thankful to have the help of Florida Memorial University, who allowed us to use their gym. We had the South Florida NFL Players Association, who brought out their members to man the station so that where the kids were learning a new skill, the wives of NFL Sisters in Service. It was just IBM TV, just so many different partners. And then Scarlett and Elliot came out, and they were just amazing. And so we really can't do those kind of things without the support of the community. And that we did that for the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So we have a group of kids that we have in a medical mentorship program that NFL Sisters in Service started for the Trayvon Martin Foundation. And this empowers children who want to be a medical doctor. Yes, there's the bag. And this the Trayvon Martin the medical mentorship program pairs children who want to be a medical doctor or go into healthcare with a member of that field. And so we have about 40 kids that have been participating in that program pre-COVID, and they came out because we want to try to give them other STEM opportunities to reinforce the ones that they're getting through the medical program. But that's in conjunction with Ross University School of Medicine. The kids go there every month, and they go to the same medical school that the students go through. The medical students are their teachers associations, the doctors and professors and are leading their instruction. They're using the same simulating products that the medical students do. It's just amazing, and we're about to do the same thing for law. And to your question and comment, I totally agree that we need to do the same thing in other areas like electronics or
Right.
plumbers, anything that we can have an apprenticeship program in. And so
Right.
we have a program underway right now that I was going to try to get into place as a commissioner, but now we're doing it through the nonprofit. And so that will also pair students with a small business owner to be apprenticed and mentored in that particular field or industry. And then when they get out of school, now they've got the craft or the skill to work their way through college if that's what they choose to do, or to go on and support their family if not. And so, with we're using STEM, we're focusing on STEM because my own daughter is a scientist. My daughter had a project at NASA her sophomore year, but there's so much against our kids in these fields once they get there, even once they're going through college, because they're very dominated fields by white males, or even now they're becoming more dominated by people that are, just don't have the same spirit of competition that we used to have in this country, where we feel now that in order for me to get ahead, I have to destroy you. And I don't know where that came from, but that really seems to be
Right.
issue that we're facing. Find it, that we need to support these kids that are in these fields where that's very prevalent, where the competition is so high that there's mental stress and mental illness because the children, mental health illnesses and things, because the kids are just going through so much. And so I just with it being this type of field where we don't have the wage inequality so much, because these are very specialized fields. We really need to fight to make sure that our kids have a place and they have the resources to succeed in these fields.
Scarlett and Stephanie, one of the people I've put you in touch with, and I've actually had the privilege of interviewing her as well, is a lady named Stephanie Espy, and she runs the program, I believe it's out of Atlanta, called GEMS, and it's actually about trying to get more of our minority students involved in the STEAM kind of fields and all of that. So I'm definitely going to try to connect y'all maybe through LinkedIn or some of the other platforms together, because it sounds like y'all are doing that same kind of work. And if you're not familiar with her, she's doing a lot of these kind of things. And I know that she's even did a program, I think it was about a month or two ago, where she was trying to get more of our minorities engaged in the kind of technology fields. But I do agree with y'all that we do need folks in the plumbing. I actually have an uncle that was involved in that field and in auto mechanics and in the vocational fields that oftentimes are left out by our school system. There used to be even a whole vocational track, but we're not seeing enough of that in my mind. But Stephanie, one thing that I was just curious about is, do you think that the other sports leagues are doing as well also? Like I said, we've got NFL Sisters in Service, which is what your organization is and everything. But I was wondering, is there any kind of comparable organizations in the NBA, in the NHL, in Major League Baseball, in the soccer leagues? And are you working with those organizations if they exist? And do you feel that they're doing a better job of working with their athletes and the athlete families, the other professional organizations?
Well, we have other wives organizations, and we have wives organizations in each of the major sports leagues. NFL Sisters in Service is the first organization that's specifically organized to be of service to our community, using our collective voices as wives or daughters or mothers of players, and we work with the players to do so. And so, in that regards, I think that we are very unique. But I do believe that the NBA and the for in particular and the WNBA are doing a good job of trying to advocate and bring attention to what we can do as a sports family to bring awareness to the social justice issues that the country's facing. I don't know so much about Major League Baseball or soccer, but you just have to look at the people who predominate those sports and to see whether or not they would have a vested interest. And even with NASCAR, I believe, they making that significant step of banning the Confederate flag, yet ignoring the noose that was obviously hanging from
Yep, that's right.
the racers, only black drivers door in NASCAR, and they can say that the noose was already there. That doesn't make it not a noose. And
Right.
so, it's just very telling that some of the things, some of the sports and their response and their non-response. But I think that we even have to do a better job of educating in the NFL, because we had players even as early as this year who still didn't understand it until George Floyd was murdered and Breonna Taylor. And we shouldn't have to keep losing people in order for you to understand. Even if you don't like the organization Black Lives Matters, my Black Life matters. How about that? How about we just start with that?
Yep.
Yep, that makes a
Amen.
lot of
Well
sense.
said. That's
Amen.
right.
Very well said. We've actually got
Amen.
to get ready to wrap up very shortly and everything. And
All
I do
right.
want to hear from everybody toward the end and everything. I do have to tease just really quickly, Scarlett, about something. It's actually Scarlett and Zach that I'm going to tease because I've been having fun doing this all the afternoon long and everything. But I do know that Zach, who is masters of trying to get funk music involved in a number of things, but his band is scattered throughout. So he might need to talk to Scarlett about ways to use VR and AR in order to connect the band together, because I think that might be one of the ways that the band can get connected together, since I know that is oftentimes what does not happen. And I know he's very particular about the way he wants his band to be organized and all of that. But I think Scarlett might be able to come up with a solution where everybody can be in the same room, and Zach can still have his great directorial skills as well as a band director and the leader of the Nappy Head Funk Army. So what do you think, Scarlett? Do you think you can help him get together with his bandmates that are scattered throughout the country and get together and create an effective show?
Absolutely. Actually, currently involved in Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest in New Orleans. We're trying to virtualize that. So we're going to do a virtual Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest as well. So again, never has been a moment in history where there's this global collaboration, and we're doing all remotely, COVID safe, to have an immersive experience. So this is why I keep saying that the technology is there. We could definitely empower the youth to get engaged, and get to know this. A lot of people have never even heard about Jazz Fest. And I think this is a great opportunity to educate them and say, hey, you want to see what experience? And the geography is no longer a barrier anymore. So this is a great opportunity. I'm just providing that platform to help facilitate this and to make whatever we do globally, so, and not limit to ourselves. So these are really amazing models to help support the community. I've been very blessed to be part of Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest to help empower what's happening in there. It's a huge part of their culture, and they're going through the same process. Like, how could we can no longer have Mardi Gras. So what does that look like? What does Jazz Fest look like? So this is something that I definitely can help in terms of translating it, bring on the musicians, and put it in the hands of the youth.
That'll work. I just need your information. Drop it in the
As
chat,
a
your
Yep.
contact
Louisiana native,
information.
we are As a
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Louisiana native, we are very appreciative to you, Scarlett.
Yes.
And then you said something earlier when my connection was off about getting George Clinton and to play the Super Bowl. I think that's an amazing idea, and I think we should start advocating for that. I met George years ago,
I was just going to
and
say
I
that.
think that it would be an amazing. I think it just needs to happen.
It does,
Absolutely.
and everybody's been represented. Like I said, I'm down with Bootsy and all of them. I got my own funk thing, but I'm a funk ambassador. So I knew most of those guys then, and the ones that have passed on or whatever. But I've seen every kind of genre, and it bothered me deeply that Bruno Mars was there representing funk as much as I love him, because he's pop, he's not funk. And they had the Chili Peppers again, and but true funk out of the P funk needs
George
to be
Clinton.
represented at the George Clinton and Bootsy Collins. It's got to be
Bootsy
George
Collins, that's right.
and it's got to be Bootsy, and then everybody else, whoever else they may bring in. But they need to be there. And I've been saying this for like 30 years. So maybe we can make this happen. It would be great. And again, Scarlett,
I'm
please
going to
drop
talk
your
to him.
information.
I'm going to tell him.
Tell him. And I just had Patty on my show Friday night. I'll pass that on to her too. I had Bootsy's wife on, so I'll pass that on to her too.
So it looks like it needs to happen. It's going to happen, and we're going to make it happen in one way or the other. Because, like I said, Zach knows that there's a couple of music genres that we need to have more representation of. I think it's been a minute since we've had some blues music on there as well. And I'm a big blues fan. And if you're a Louisiana person, you know that we need some more blues going on there in the NFL as well. So there are a couple of genres that we definitely need to get some funk, some blues, and some other things happening. As we wrap up, one of the things that I do on just about all my shows, and Kim knows this, is I love to hear positive thoughts, because I'm all about positivity from all of our guests and all of that. So I'm going to start off with Zach's relatives and work my way around. So I'm going to start off with Zach's relatives, Brian and Nikhil, and see what kind of positive words of encouragement they would like to share with our international audience, because we do have folks from all over the world. Actually, we've got an international group right here, because we've got Scarlett representing Latin America and everything. If I remember correctly, it's Honduras, if I remember correctly.
Nicaragua. But
Nicaragua, right?
Yes.
Nicaragua, right? And definitely, so we've got folks representing all kinds of aspects, and definitely here on the platform, we definitely represent a lot of the world and everything. As a matter of fact, part of the reason we've got to get off shortly is because we've got Alexandria May coming at us from South Africa with her show, Alexandria May's Music Cafe, followed by Talking Upstream later on as well. So we've got some great programming happening here on IBM TV. And by the way, we've also got a store going on as well. So I know I've got my t-shirt up. I need to check, because Brandon said some of the other products would be up by now. So we've got some products up.
Yeah.
We've got a number of other things going on. So you can go over there and buy some products representing the various shows that are happening here on this platform. But Brian,
and we also have a family dollar store on our store. It's IBM TV dollar store, 4,800 items. Proceeds go to help sponsor the programs, and also to help pay for people and employee. So we don't keep the profits. So we are non-for-profit. So whatever you buy from us is helping others.
Appreciate that. Brian and Nikhil, what are your thoughts about any words of encouragement that you would like to share to our global community? Like Zach told you earlier, there are folks watching from India, folks watching from South Africa, folks watching from Asia, from England, from a number of places, and not just here in the United States, but throughout the globe and everything. So what words of encouragement would you like to give folks that are listening as our guests from Zach's show and now from the roundtable as well?
Hey, at first, it was a blessing to be a part of the roundtable. Just to be on the show, and I'm just like, wow, this was truly a blessing. Just to give some words of encouragement from around the world, to recognize that we're going through some similar things, and we have to keep our head up, and we have to continue moving forward, and we can't give up. The only way that that guarantees our not succeeding is if we give up. That guarantees us not succeeding. So we have to continue, and I know it's hard. I know it's easier said than done, but continue praying, continue moving, and God will make a way. Amen. Thank you.
Want to add anything to that, Nikhil, before I go down to Maxine?
Thank you. I just want to say absolutely thank you for allowing us to be here with you all today. And, just one of the things that I'm taking away from here today, and you said international, just message of hope, that just this forum, this platform, and everybody that has come together today, we have seen folks from all different places, different nationalities, different, everybody's got different organizations, different spots in life. And everybody here on this platform is coming together and saying, hey, you and you need to get connected because you're going to do this greater thing. You and you need to get together because you're going to do this greater thing. And so just if this entire world could just get on that mindset, hey, who can I get with that we can together work and do greater things? There's nothing that we can't do. So, and do good for the people, just for people. So I just thank you again for being here and for just thank you everybody for sharing what it is that you do. You are a blessing in what you do.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Amen.
Well said.
Maxine, what are your thoughts and things that you want to share?
I would say, don't give up on your dreams. Many times when we were little or growing up, there were things that we did and we enjoyed. As we became an adult, that life took over and we have forgotten about all those things that we were passionate about. Those things that we were passionate about, it really fuels our purpose. And COVID, yes, although it has confined us in our own homes, but it has created a global movement where now technology is the way, is the journey, is the path in which we can all start connecting. I love the fact that when we no longer think local, and those who are thinking local, we need to remove that thought. It's global. You start local, you go national, international, and keep it around the world. So I love that this synergy is here. And we all, if you think about it, we all sort of like have the same mindset. And what is that mindset that we have right now? Is to make the world better.
Make the world better and positivity.
Positive, to help our youth, to help our individuals who've been injured, that they have been forgotten about from the source in which caused the injury. So we want to pull together and to make it all happen. So I am so blessed just by being here today. Thank you.
Well, glad to have Maxine on. Before I get to Stephanie and her final thoughts, I was going to tell Maxine one of the most powerful moments that I saw, and it was actually at the end of her celebration, was when her husband came and gave his comments as well, because her husband was sitting there saying that when he met Maxine, he was like, because he had actually been previously married and everything, he was like thinking that she was going to be too much of a powerful woman for him and everything, but then they realized that they were meant for each other, and they have definitely had a very powerful relationship that they continue to support each other and all of that. So I just remember when they came and made those comments, it was just some very moving comments that a lot of us that were watching on the Zoom presentation were just moved by that particular moment of her celebration and all of that. So I just wanted to share that as well. So definitely want to come to you and hear any of your final thoughts that you have and the things that you might want to share as well.
She may have some internet connection problems.
All right, so we'll see if I come back to her. Can you hear me, Stephanie? Yeah, she may be having internet connectivity issues. So we'll come back to Zack. Zack, any words of final thoughts?
So I would really like to speak to the of our country. Our adults. I think that it's pretty much, a done deal. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. Just now we did, but we didn't hear the first part. You're talking about
Can you guys
the
hear
youth
me?
and that you. Yes, now.
Okay, so I would. Yes, I would prefer to speak to the youth of the world, especially of this country. because the adults have just become so divided by the fractions on the left and on the right that I don't think that they can hear anything that we're saying. And so to the young people, I would say, do not allow this disenfranchisement to seep into your veins. Know that we're all one, that we have to come together in unity, that that you're the generation of that hope, that you're the manifestation of that promise, and that you can do this. We understand that you are struggling and going through so much right now because your spirit is vested, is vexed by what you see us doing as a nation and as a world. I want you to know that in 18 years, by the time you're 18 years old, you can be part of that solution, and you can start working towards that right now by loving each other, loving the students around you, and understanding that one thing that you'll never have to worry about is competition. My grandmother told me you can't beat God giving. Give to your to your neighbors, give to your friends, give to your loved ones. Love on them, encourage them, and expect the same thing from them. It'll come back to you. I promise you that.
No doubt
Well
about
said.
that. Zach, it's on you. Any powerful statements you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you guys on the panel. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Scarlett. You know, Bryant, Nikel, and Maxine, and Kim, and Mark. You guys are my heart. And for people out there that's watching this show around the world, know that we are one global community. And if I have to say anything, I'll quote Bob Marley in saying, "One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right."
Yep.
Love it.
Scarlett, it's on you. What do you got to say? And then I'll have my wrapping comments, and then I'll wrap the whole show up. But what do you got to say,
I got one
Scarlett?
thing to say after Scarlett. I want to add something.
No problem.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to just thank the viewers out there who are listening here. I mean, this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for global collaboration and just being be part of this. Actually, this is a statement for everybody. This is something I always say to everybody, and is, what is the call to action, and how are you changing the world, and how you're empowering the youth? So we are the stewardess of it, and how to become a better world in collaboration. So think about it. Don't rely on others, and be that role model. Take the initiative, and you'll see how all the needle starts moving.
Yep. Kim, you had something you wanted to add?
So yeah, first off, thank you, all of you, for everything you're doing. You know, I love all of you very much, and it's been an honor meeting some of Zach's family today, and I hope you do come back. As some of you might know, I sit on one of the board of advisor departments at NC State, which is huge athletic school, right? And Jimmy Valvano was a huge inspiration. His speeches could resonate through a lifetime plus. And I want to share one of his speeches with you that sits on my desk, that something you guys said to me reminded me of. And so first, I'm going to start off with the mission. Just give me, if you don't mind, a minute. In everyone's life, at some time, our inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the inner spirit. So then I'm going to go into Jimmy Valvano's speech. Nothing can happen if it's not first a dream. If you have someone with a dream, if you have a motivated person with a goal and a vision, if you have someone who never gives up, who has great hope, anything can happen. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Yep. Such powerful words from Jimmy Valvano. Jimmy V definitely always had some very powerful things to say. And of course, the Jimmy V Foundation is still doing great work in the fight against major disease and all of that. So definitely he was a living legend. And as of course, his memory does resonate with a lot of folks. I've got friends that
from Jersey, by the way.
All of that. Yep, South Jersey. I know I got folks that knew him and all of that. So definitely he resonated with a lot of folks here in the triangle and all of that. And I actually saw a moment, and I mentioned this on Zack's show before, that kind of reminded me of what y'all were talking about. And that was when I went to a convenience store nearby, and there was a young gentleman that has designed jackets and T-shirts and things of that nature. But there were other business entrepreneurs that were there in that room together. These were young African-American gentlemen, and all that they did was connect with each other and actually make that business connection right there in that room. And one of the gentlemen said something that kind of resonates with what we're talking about. He was like saying that what we're doing now is what we all need to be doing on a regular basis. And I couldn't have agreed with him more, because like I said, I was telling them about IBM TV. They were talking about their jackets. One of them, I think, was a musician, and they were involved in a number of other things, but they were saying that this is the kind of things that they would like to see more of. And one of the things that I've got to praise Kim for is that a lot of times they do great connecting right here on this network. This network is a great place of connecting and a great place of also resonating the kind of positivity that we're talking about. So I know this coming Monday on my show, radio show with Mark Lee, I've got some filmmakers. I think I've got a musician that'll be showing up, as well as some other entrepreneur types. And on all the shows that we have here on the platform, that's one of the things that resonates throughout the whole conversation is unity, is us connecting, is us networking, is us being tied together and actually creating, as Kim and Nick oftentimes call it, a better world. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it all up, because I think that that's one of the things that we do on a regular basis is we love creating a better world, and we use IBM TV in order to do that. So hopefully folks will continue and stay tuned here on this network, and they will go and check out Alexandria May, another powerful lady that does some great and amazing things, and we'll check her music cafe out, and then they will catch Talking Upstream and a number of the other great programs. And then of course they can get up with the morning edition and go on into some of the programs that I'm involved with in the afternoon on Monday. Still trying to talk Scarlett into getting the program, but I know Kim tells me that she's much too busy, and that we've got to figure out a way to get her to get that program, because I'm determined that she's going to have a VR's program or an AR program here on the platform at some time or another.
I'm going to put
I
a
want
camera
Stephanie
on
to
her.
get a sports program as well.
She's too busy. I'm going to put a camera on her. Life with Scarlett. Just follow her.
That'd be fun.
Love
I
you,
would love to
Scarlett.
watch that.
Funk music for
I would
Super
love to
Bowl,
watch it,
everyone.
Scarlett.
Love
Right.
y'all.
That's what we're going to have, funk music with
Thank you.
Zack right before the Super Bowl. So this will be
Thank
part of the
you.
Super Bowl party. And hopefully Stephanie can join us back for that as well, since it will be taking place on Super Bowl Sunday. So I know Zack will send out a link. I'll send out a link. And if you can pop in even from the event, we would love to have that happen and all of that. So definitely on that note, I'm out of here. Everybody else is out of here as well. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
All right. Have a good one.